Chapter 237. Yinran glanced at him and said, "This love rival of mine is constantly reporting to me about your interactions with her. She likes your posts on her WeChat moments, or photos you sent to each other. For example, she hugged your waist, kissed your face, or whatever you said to her. She'll report it to me in full detail." Xiao Xiao suddenly felt guilty. "Yinran, don't listen to her nonsense. I was just acting. Didn't I have to calm her down for the time being? If she gets angry, I'm afraid she'll do something to you." Xiao Xiao continued to explain anxiously. "I told her that I'm against intimacy before marriage. I haven't kissed her yet, and she's only hugged me at most. Then let me ask you, what's with biting his Adam's apple?" Xiao Zhao's eyes darted around. What was wrong with this Yi Xuanfei? He cursed Yi Xuanfei 1,000,000 times in his heart, before he decided to play dumb. "Yinran, look, my Adam's apple is here." Biting his Adam's apple means using your little mouth to bite him. Yi Xuanfei was speechless when she heard Yi Xuanfei's words. "Yinran, look. My Adam's apple is here." Yinran's index finger brushed Xiao Zhao's Adam's apple. Her eyes narrowed slightly, and the warning look in her eyes made Xiao Zhao's heart tremble. "You mean Yi Xuanfei used her little mouth to bite here?" Xiao Xiao didn't bother to explain. He wrapped his arm around Yinran's waist and bit her index finger. He muttered, "Yinran, don't you believe me?" Then, he simply covered Yinran's mouth, so that she couldn't say anything. The night was long, and the romantic scene continued. "Brother Qiao, where do you think we should go for dinner?" The moment Yi Xuanfei saw Qiao Zhao's handsome figure appear downstairs, she fluttered down like a butterfly and held onto Qiao Zhao's arm, wanting to cling on to him. Xiao Xiao didn't refuse. His ultimate goal today was to obtain the 3D data of Yi Xuanfei's face. He had to make her happy. The script had been written, and now it was up to Xiao Xiao to act it out. "Xuanfei, what do you think of my glasses today? Is it cool? I just wanted to ask you why you're wearing a pair of plain glasses. Look, you've hidden your sexy glasses under the lens. What a pity. I just want to have dinner with you today. I don't want anyone to recognize me." Yi Xuanfei's heart was filled with sweetness. "Brother Qiao, you seem a little different today. What's the difference? I was tired yesterday, but I'm in a good mood today." Just like that, the two of them chatted and laughed like an intimate couple. They arrived at a private room in a 5-star hotel. The environment was very quiet, and the space was very private. Yi Xuanfei was very satisfied. But what she didn't expect was that Yinran had already hidden in the room next door, receiving real-time images from the miniature camera hidden in Xiao Zhao's eyes. After the dishes were served, the waiter left. Only Xiao Xiao and Yi Xuanfei were left in the private room. Yi Xuanfei immediately sat in Xiao Zhao's arms and wrapped her arms around his neck. She said coyly, "Brother Qiao, I realized that you're very handsome today." Xiao Xiao had specially dressed up today. In order to seduce Yi Xuanfei, he had specially worn a V-neck shirt. The sharp corners of the collar were slightly lower, vaguely revealing his collarbone and a small part of his chest. He looked alluring and sexy. Xiao Xiao had specially applied lip gloss. His thin lips were glossy and lustrous, like 2 pieces of jelly that were tempting to commit a crime. At this moment, Yi Xuanfei's fingers were caressing these 2 pieces of jelly. Her eyes were in a daze. "I want to eat them." Xiao Xiao took the opportunity to cup her face and let her face his glasses. Yi Xuanfei's head was slightly raised, and her entire face was exposed to the camera. Xiao Xiao said to her seductively, "Xuanfei, you're so beautiful today. You're especially sexy. Come, blink your eyes." Yi Xuanfei obediently blinked her eyes with fake eyelashes. "Come, open your mouth." Yi Xuanfei obediently opened her mouth again, then stuck out her small tongue and licked the corner of her mouth. "Come, shake your head." "Brother Qiao, what are you doing? Why are you making me do this? I want to take a closer look at you. I want to engrave your beauty deeply in my mind." Xiao Zhao's intoxicating words made Yi Xuanfei dizzy instantly. She immediately wanted to kiss Xiao Zhao's lips. Xiao Xiao tilted his head. "Don't move. I haven't seen it clearly yet. Let me take a closer look." Xiao Zhao's intoxicating eyes stared at Yi Xuanfei affectionately, making Yi Xuanfei's heart beat like a drum. Xiao Xiao was really alluring tonight. His affectionate gaze made Yi Xuanfei's entire body soak in sugar. until Xiao Zhao's phone vibrated in his pocket. He knew that Yinran had settled it. He heaved a sigh of relief, took off his glasses and carried Yi Xuanfei. Under Yi Xuanfei's excited and confused gaze, he placed her on the chair beside him. Come Xuanfei, let's eat. Yi Xuanfei was stunned. The script wasn't developing in the way she had expected. This brother Qiao was always making her heart skip a beat. But today, Qiao Xiao was still rather gentle. The topic always revolved around the Eastern aristocratic families. Xuanfei, I feel that the Eastern aristocratic families are really powerful. But I remember that someone told me not to walk around at night when I was at your house last time. What's the reason for that? Brother Qiao, if you really want to know, then give me a kiss. Qiao Xiao had no choice but to peck the corner of her lips lightly. At the same time, he picked up a mouthful of food and fed it to her. Yi Xuanfei blinked her eyes in satisfaction. The Eastern aristocratic families are famous for their arrays. Naturally, we have arrays in our house. The entire house is a circulation array. It activates automatically at night and only disappears at 7 in the morning. It's not just the circulation array. We set up small arrays in each building, such as the alchemy laboratory and the library. These arrays are all reverse arrays. They're superimposed on the circulation array. If you're not careful, you'll never be able to get out. Then what if the other members of the Eastern aristocratic families accidentally enter these arrays? If it's just a circulation array, then they'll be able to get out the next morning. If they enter those reverse arrays, then they can only blame themselves for being unlucky. They really can't get out after entering the reverse arrays? Then they'll just die like that. The reverse arrays bring them to another space. No one can save them, so no one will walk around at night. Brother Qiao, we have a lot of people in our house, and there are a lot of rules. If you don't like it, we don't have to live here in the future. Where do you like? We can buy a house in advance, okay? Yi Xuanfei became more and more excited. Xiao Xiao quickly pulled her back. Didn't you barge into these arrays when you were young? There was one time when I was young. I cultivated a little late at night. Out of curiosity, I sneaked into the library and triggered a mechanism. In the end, I was brought to another space. There was a woman inside who wanted to feed me pills. I almost fell for it. After I got out, Grandfather told me that the woman wanted to feed me spiritual transformation pills. Didn't you say that you can't get out once you enter? How did you get out? Because I have the family heirloom little star. If it wasn't for this treasure, Grandfather said that I wouldn't be able to get out. As the two of them chatted, Qiao Xiao asked all the questions he wanted to know. There were no more valuable questions. Most of them were things he had already experienced before. So he was too lazy to answer them perfunctorily. Xuanfei, I'm full. I'll send you back. Yi Xuanfei couldn't bear to let Qiao Xiao leave. Brother Qiao, why don't we stay in this hotel tonight? I swear. Yi Xuanfei quickly raised her right hand. I won't ask for too much from you. I just want to chat with you and keep me company, okay? Xiao Xiao felt a headache coming on. Be good. Go back early. I'm not used to sleeping outside. I'll find you for dinner in 2 days. Yi Xuanfei wrapped herself around Xiao Xiao like a snake. Brother Qiao, just one night. Keep me company. Her voice was as sweet as honey. Xiao Xiao directly pressed her against the wall and whispered in her ear in a seductive voice. I'll be all yours on our wedding night. What's the hurry? After saying that, he licked her ear and strode out of the room. After Qiao Xiao and Yinran returned home, they saved Yi Xuanfei's facial recognition data overnight. After that, Yinran looked at Xiao Xiao with a strange expression. It's been hard on you. This is the first time I've seen the two of you together. It's really very erotic. Xiao Xiao blushed. Yinran, just take it that I'm acting. This Yi Xuanfei is always like this. She's always lusting after my body. After a while, Xiao Xiao said again. Say, this relationship is really strange. If you don't like someone, you don't like them. If you like someone, you can't help it. She lusts after me, but I especially lusts after you. But Aran. Xiao Xiao leaned in and whispered. Are you lusting after my body too? Yinran's eyes darted around. We still need to confirm the data just now. Take a look at it again. I'm going to print it out. Aran, don't change the topic. Touch your heart and answer properly. You haven't practiced alchemy in a long time. Let's do it again from the beginning to the end later. Aran, you're wrong. You have to face the undercurrents in your heart. Don't be so busy with these things. Tell me properly. I think I heard Uncle Wu calling you. He's downstairs. Go quickly. I only heard you calling me. It was very lingering. Xiao Xiao carried Yanran and walked towards the bedroom. I think you can only be honest in a special place. Let's go and have a good discussion. The end result of the discussion was that Xiao Xiao forced her to say more than 100 words. Then Xiao Xiao logically said, Yanran, I didn't know that you were so greedy. If I don't satisfy you, then it's my fault. Yanran, why are you still saying that you're greedy? Haven't I worked hard enough? Looks like I have to work harder. Aran, you can't be greedy anymore. Your Xiao is going to die. However, they finally decided on a time to go to the Eastern aristocratic family. It was set on the day they lured old Master Yi out of Huanghai. Chapter 238. Elder Yi had been under a lot of pressure lately. His already high hairline seemed to have receded a bit. He used to be a hale and hearty old man, but now he looked like a doddering old man. Even his back was hunched. However, his temperament had not changed at all. Looking at the report that Ming Tian had given him, he felt as if there was a fire burning from his chest to the top of his head, almost burning off all his hair. He could not wait to clench the report into a ball, throw it to the corner of the wall, and then rush over to trample on it. Is this real or fake? Elder Ye's hands trembled as he held the report. Ming Tian lowered his head and said in pain, It's real. It's been confirmed. This document contained a list of government officials. It clearly listed the time and amount of money that the Jiutian group had bribed them. This was a complete black book. Old Mr. Yi angrily slapped Ming Tian to the wall. Ming Tian slid down the wall like a pile of mud and landed in the corner. Who the hell is the one who set up this black book? It wasn't me. No one writes black books. I don't know where this report came from. Someone must be targeting us. Do you know where I got this report? Elder Yi gritted his teeth and said, It was personally handed to me by my superiors. The worst thing is that many of the government officials have already been arrested. I'm afraid they won't be able to handle it. Elder Yi, that's too scary. If they find out who we are, a lot of places won't be able to withstand the investigation. Ming Tian supported himself against the wall and stood up shakily. He ran in front of Elder Yi and sat down on the floor. Elder Yi's body also swayed. We can't be so unlucky. How can so many people related to us be investigated at the same time? There must be a conspiracy. Who is behind this? I've been investigating and sent out a lot of people, but the clues are too scattered. None of them can be gathered. It's like a spider's web covering us all. Ming Tian was already out of breath. Elder Yi, the only way is to find a few key people and have them help us suppress these cases. Can they suppress it? Elder Ye's face was gloomy as he paced back and forth in the room. We've given them a lot of benefits before. If it doesn't work out, we'll use some extreme methods. I don't believe that these humans can block the path of us cultivators. Ming Tian's eyes were already somewhat frenzied, as though he was mentally deranged. If Jiutian collapsed, then all the wealth he had accumulated over the years would be like dog shit, worthless. It seems that I have to deal with this matter personally. There are a few key points. I have marked out these people just now. Let's find a way to persuade them to help. If it doesn't work, then we can only. Elder Yi made a gesture of twisting his neck, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. But Ming Tian, you have to be careful. We have to try our best to get him to stand on our side. If he doesn't want to, then we have to create the illusion that he died of natural causes. Elder Yi of the Eastern aristocratic family had already felt the crisis. It was like an invisible hand was gradually clamping down on his throat, making him feel like he couldn't breathe. He originally thought that his Jiutian family had always been an independent existence in this world. With the protection of their superiors and the strength of their cultivators, everything would be very smooth. But he didn't expect that the small officials in every small business would cause a butterfly effect. It had already shaken the elephant that was the Jiutian family. The foundation was unstable, and the Jiotian family's building had already begun to shake. Elder Yi was still making a final struggle. He wanted to set up a barrier around the building to isolate all the weapons that were unfavorable to them from the outside world. Right now, there were two key people. One was the vice president of a certain court, and the other was the vice minister of a certain government department. These two people were investigating the Jiotian family's cases. These two people hadn't met yet. What Elder Yi wanted to do was to cut off these two people. The evidence in these two people's hands was very important. If they were separated, they wouldn't be able to find anything. But if the two cases were to be tried together, then all the spearheads would be pointed at the Jiotian family. This would attract the attention of the higher-ups of the country. At that time, the Jiotian family would be in big trouble. Elder Yi knew this very well. The gun would shoot the bird that sticks out. If their true strength was put on the surface, then it would definitely attract the attention of the higher-ups, who could sleep soundly if there was a tiger that could jump up at any time next to your pillow. And all of this was the picture that Yinran had spent so much time sorting out. When Yinran figured everything out, she knew that the opportunity had come. The world of cultivators was only an organization that was allowed to exist. But if this organization was about to control a certain lifeline of the country, then you wouldn't be far from death. So Yinran, this beautiful butterfly, led the other small butterflies to write a lot of report letters in various supervisory departments and handed them up layer by layer. A small person couldn't cause any big trouble, but don't underestimate the intelligence of human beings. There were two key people, and gradually, they became interested in some of the cases. And when they also drew half of the picture like Yinran, they were shocked beyond words. These two people were the two key people that Elder Yi paid attention to. Book a plane ticket for me. Tomorrow morning, I will personally meet these two people. Elder Yi looked at Ming Tian, who was sitting on the ground, and said sternly, "Get up. What are you doing? Things haven't reached the worst point yet. What are you afraid of? You send a few good people to figure out the family background of these two people for me, as well as their usual habits. Then find a way to go to the hospital and write 2 cases of depression for them. These days the pressure of work is too great. It's normal to have depression." Elder Yi finished speaking and strode out. The next morning, Elder Yi left the old mansion and boarded the plane to Bay City. "Xiao Xiao, the time we have been waiting for has come." Elder Yi left Huanghai City on a plane early this morning. Yinran immediately sent a message to Xiao Xiao as soon as she received the news. Xiao Xiao was in class. Professor He was talking about face recognition technology on the podium, and Xiao Xiao listened with great interest. He thought about the face of Yi Xuanfei that they had made. It was exactly the same as what Professor He had said. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but feel proud. Yinran and he were a perfect match. They didn't have to work hard, and after thinking about it, they actually came up with face recognition technology. Life with Yinran was really full of joy. Every day, there were endless adventures, endless imagination, an endless sense of accomplishment. How could he not be hell-bent on this? This also constantly promoted Xiao Xiao's improvement. Even if Yinran didn't have spiritual power, his brain still couldn't compare to Yinran's. Xiao Xiao often felt a little inferior. He wasn't good enough for Yinran. Other than the devil aura that he still had to show off, Yinran was really in charge of everything else. Yinran's excellence made him feel a sense of danger. He also had to become more outstanding, so that he could be on equal footing with Yinran. They could stand on the same starting line and run together on the bright road. Therefore, during this period of time, Xiao Xiao returned to his previous state of studying seriously. He cherished his university life, and everything that he was doing now. He had to thank Zhang Deong for helping him set up the framework that he should do. Now what he needed to do was to run it well. Yi Xuanfei still kept harassing him, but every time Xiao Xiao said to Yi Xuanfei, "You're so outstanding. If I don't work hard, how can I be good enough for you?" He sent her away with a few words. He often read books in the library until late at night. Yi Xuanfei admired Xiao Xiao even more when she saw how motivated he was. She also wanted to accompany Xiao Xiao to read books, but she was always blocked by Xiao Xiao's words, "Don't disturb me." She couldn't do anything about it. After all, men prioritize their careers. Zhang Daong was overjoyed because Qiao Xiao told him that he must make a name for himself in the entertainment industry. This made Zhang Daong cry tears of joy. It turned out that this nominal chairman was always lazy and refused many endorsements. Now he was finally willing to open for business. Zhang Daong could foresee that his mine was not far away. Are you leaving today? Qiao Xiao replied on WeChat. The flight is in the afternoon. We'll arrive at night. If things go well, we can come back tomorrow. Mr. Yi, we've brought him. Two Zixuan experts brought a middle-aged man into a hidden private room. The private room was located in a manor in the suburbs of Bay City. This was also one of the assets of Jiutian Group. It was also a fixed stop for Mr. Yi every time he came to Bay City. Who are you? Why did you bring me here? How dare you do such a thing in broad daylight? The middle-aged man didn't panic. He just angrily scolded Mr. Yi, who was sitting across from him. This middle-aged man was the key person that Mr. Yi mentioned, the deputy director of a certain court. Mr. Yi didn't panic. He smiled faintly and poured a cup of tea for the middle-aged man. Don't worry. There's plenty of time. Drink some tea to moisten your throat. At this time, he looked at the calm and composed Mr. Yi. He secretly guessed that there was only one case that he was handling recently that was important. Could it be that this person came for this case? Years of experience in handling cases gave him an inexplicable premonition of danger. Although the old man sitting across from him was as calm as water, he could clearly feel an overwhelming pressure coming at him. His eyes darkened. This old man's pressure was too strong. Whether he could go back alive was a question mark. He pretended to be calm and leaned back on the sofa. He took out his phone and didn't pay attention to Mr. Yi. He calmly browsed through the news. Under his news interface, he quickly sent a document and gave a secret number. Just as he was about to open the third news link, a hand suddenly reached out from the side and snatched his phone away. What are you doing? Mr. Yi smiled. Director Ma, I'm sorry. When I'm talking to someone, I want them to concentrate. Moreover, we need to keep our conversation confidential. The phone's recording function can't be used. The phone will be returned to you in a while. It's on the table next to you. You can see it. Chapter 239. Dean Ma immediately jumped up like a little beast that was scalded by fire. You are restricting my freedom of life. Dean Ma, don't be so agitated. I just invited you over for tea and wanted to talk to you about something. Say it, which case? Yi Lao's eyes lit up. Dean Ma is really a straightforward person. First, let me introduce myself. My surname is Yi, and I'm the chairman of Jiutian Group. It really was the case he was working on. Dean Ma remained calm and collected. What advice does Chairman Yi have? I don't dare to give advice. I just want to ask if it's possible to postpone the case you're working on. Dean Ma's heart thumped. Postponing the case meant an indefinite extension, giving the criminals time to transfer their assets. Originally, he felt that there were some parts of the case that were confusing, but now it seemed that it was true. Chairman Yi, the court has its own procedures. We don't have any way to hinder the progress of the case. This isn't something I can control. There are always people who think of ways. Dean Ma, as long as you don't sign, this case can't be reported. After speaking, Yi Lao handed him a document. This is a little bit of Jiutian Entertainment's shares. It's a little token of my appreciation. Chairman Yi is really generous. This little bit of Jiutian Entertainment's shares should be worth tens of millions. Dean Ma raised his eyelids and asked coldly. Yi Lao smiled sinisterly. Dean Ma, you're underestimating me. How can I take out tens of millions? This is at least hundreds of millions. Your child is studying abroad, right? If you think the shares are troublesome, I can directly transfer it to an overseas account. Dean Ma's forehead was covered in cold sweat. It seemed that this person came prepared and investigated many things thoroughly. If he didn't comply, he didn't know what the consequences would be. Chairman Yi, this isn't something I can decide. I'm in a difficult position. Yi Lao pushed the teacup in his hand forward. He only used his hand to lightly touch it, and the entire cup immediately turned into powder. The tea spilled all over the table. Dean Ma stood up in shock. and looked at Yi Lao in disbelief. Yi Lao laughed. This is just a small token. It's just an eye-opener for Dean Ma. There are many people in this world that you can't afford to offend. If you want to save the lives of your family, I hope you don't sign this. A monstrous wave was set off in Dean Ma's heart. A sense of fear gripped his heart. However, the education he received since childhood, and so many years of experience in handling cases, let him know that he could not bow to the evil forces. Otherwise, he would only become their puppet. Dean Ma's thoughts raced. What he needed to do now was to escape as soon as possible. Judging from Chairman Ye's reaction, this case had a huge impact on him. Originally, Jiutian Entertainment was not within his scope of concern, but now it seemed that they were an important part of Jiutian Corporation. Although today's trip was dangerous, they had also obtained important clues. Chairman Yi, your request is too sudden. Can I go back and think about it? I'll give you an answer in 3 days. No. 3 days is too long. I'll give you 2 hours to think it over. Bring Dean Ma to the next room, and let him think it over. The private room next door was empty. After Dean Ma was brought in, he was immediately pushed against the wall. A large hand quickly tightened around his neck like an iron hoop. Dean Ma looked in horror at the man who was violently attacking him. The man looked at him with a fierce and contemptuous gaze, as if he was looking at an ant. Dean Ma, Yi Lao said to let you experience the taste of death in advance. It will help you think. The hand around his neck was like a red-hot iron brand, making it difficult for Dean Ma to breathe. His face was red, and he desperately tried to pull the iron hand away. However, his strength was too weak. The man in front of him was not tall, but for some reason, he was like a mountain in front of him. He was unable to move at all. Gradually, he was about to lose consciousness. His whole body seemed to be embedded into the wall. His eyes and tongue were desperately staring out. Even his ears were unconsciously flapping. He desperately wanted to inhale more air into his body. However, it was all in vain. His feet were already in the air. He was like a suspended puppet weakly kicking. Just at the moment when he thought his life was coming to an end, the only thing he could think of was that the materials should have been sent out. His life was gradually draining away. However, at the last moment, the iron hand finally left his neck. Due to the lack of oxygen in his brain, he quickly fell to the ground like a pile of mud and piled up in the corner of the wall. At this moment, he faintly heard the person opposite him say that he seemed to have used too much strength. Then his face was constantly patted, pulling him back from the edge of unconsciousness. Then he heard the person's cold voice. Wake up. Think about it carefully. You don't have much time. Only 2 hours. He saw that his lower body was wet. He knew that he had already lost control of his body. The smell of urine filled the entire room. However, he could no longer think. He only knew how to desperately gasp for breath. When will the other person arrive? That person is a bit troublesome. He is currently sealed at the worksite. We can't bring him out. Elder Yi picked up the teacup and lightly sipped a mouthful. He casually said, This matter is long and troublesome. This person can't be left alive. Think of a way to get rid of him. Mom, the way those 2 brothers and sister walk is so beautiful. A tender child's voice sounded at the airport exit. They are probably 2 celebrities. Ai Nan, don't run with them. A mother hurriedly went forward and pulled her daughter. Mom, that brother must be very handsome. Nan blinked her cute big eyes and looked at her mother. How old are you? You already know about beauty and ugliness. They are already far away. Don't look anymore. Mom will take you to eat. The little girl was dragged away by her mother. This was Huanghai City's airport. Xiao Xiao and Yinran were fully armed. Sunglasses and masks covered their entire body. However, the model figure of the 2 walking was still very eye-catching. Now you won't even let a little girl go. Yinran ridiculed. How is that possible? I have never looked sideways. My eyes will always be focused on you. Xiao Xiao hugged Yinran's waist. Ran, I find that you care about me more and more. You are even jealous of a little girl. Don't be so proud. Behave yourself outside. Don't attract other people's attention. Yinran slapped away his hand that was moving up and down. Yinran, I protest. You make it sound like I am a thief. You are a thief. A thief who steals fish. Yinran's eyes under the sunglasses glanced at him, the corner of her eyes hooked. It was naturally charming. Yinran, I am stealing your heart, not your fish. I am warning you. Don't mess around today. We have important things to do tonight. When we arrive at the hotel, we will get 2 rooms and cultivate separately. Yinran, I have already canceled the 2 rooms you booked. I booked a big suite. It also has 2 rooms, and we can cultivate separately. However, there is only 1 shower. I looked at the introduction, and there is a huge bathtub. It will probably be very cool. Is there nothing else in your head other than this? Yinran, you have wronged me. I have been studying seriously during this period of time. I still have a movie to shoot in a while. My lonely heart can't be relieved. I just want to take a bath. The intense mission they were going to carry out tonight was turned into a vacation by Xiao Xiao. Yinran was speechless. Anyway, we have already agreed. If you want to take a bath, you can take it yourself. Don't drag me in. Xiao Xiao touched his nose. What's the point of taking a bath alone? Such a big bathtub will take at least 2 people to turn it over. Unexpectedly, Yinran entered the room and locked the door. At the same time, she kissed Xiao Xiao on the cheek. I shall be good. You have to adjust yourself to the best state. Then you have to practice your alchemy techniques and strength. Try to succeed in one try tonight. Xiao Xiao looked at the huge, spotless bathtub. It had a complete set of functions. It had automatic cleaning and disinfection, intelligent water entering at a fixed time, fixed the temperature of the water, fitness treatment and stress relief. There was a whirlpool in the water, and the high-pressure water would circulate around the body. There were small holes at the bottom and the 4 walls, which were used to spray water. The high-pressure water through the 4 walls could stimulate the body's acupoints and make the person relax. The nozzle at the bottom could massage the back. The combination of the 2 could perfectly relieve the pressure. Xiao Xiao shouted at the door of Yinran's room. Yinran, I think you are under too much pressure. The best way is to take a bath to relieve yourself. The greater the pressure, the greater the motivation. Hurry up and cultivate. Xiao Xiao looked at the attractive bathtub. He could only let it admire itself first. When it was done, humph. Yinran quickly worked in the room. She turned on the computer and continued her intense and complicated work. Her work network had been established. There was a group of like-minded people like her, who were busy with the business of the cultivation world. Now their organization was like a group of underground workers. Every day, Yinran received countless messages. She needed to peel these complicated messages, classify them, summarize them, and find out what was useful to her. At this time, Yinran was like a female general who was strategizing. She issued orders one by one. All the members of the organization were her soldiers. She decided on the strategy, and the tactics were carried out by her subordinates. If there was a deviation, she would adjust in time to ensure that everything was carried out according to her plan. Therefore, she was very busy every day. She was so busy that she had not been intimate with Xiao Xiao for a long time. She knew what Xiao Xiao was thinking, but tonight's matter was very dangerous. The probability of success was unknown. Yinran had to arrange everything. If she and Xiao Xiao were trapped in another space, she needed someone to continue her business. She told Little Six what the backup plan was. Everything was just in case. Chapter 240. It was late at night. Darkness was a natural night suit. Even the moonlight was pulled up by the clouds and hidden in the thick fog. Occasionally, a little starlight peeked out and quickly retreated, leaving the long night to the 2 people who were about to perform on stage. In the woods 1 kilometer away from the Eastern family's ancestral home, 2 slender figures had been waiting for a long time. Yinran, are you tired? Lean on me for a while. It's okay, I'm not tired. We'll go in at 1 o'clock sharp. This should be the time when people are sleeping the most. Yinran was like this. She planned everything very carefully. At this time, Xiao Xiao was carrying a bag on his back, which contained the book about the panacea, the cauldron for refining the elixir, and Yi Xuanfei's 3D printed head cover. Yinran, I'll take you in later. It's very big inside, so we have to walk a long way. Yes, I know. I've seen the map you drew. According to your speed, It might take 15 minutes. Later, try to walk along the wall. If there's a dog inside, quickly put it down. I've already sensed it with the totem. The array in the eastern area is relatively weak. We'll go in from there. Xiao Xiao thought for a while. The eastern area seemed to be a pond. Yinran said, "That's a pond. There should be lotus leaves in this season. Be careful not to touch them. I can't guarantee that there won't be an alarm mechanism." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming praised in the bracelet. Yinran has done her homework. Xiao Xiao has found a treasure. With such a woman as his future crown princess, it's more than enough for him to manage the demon world. When Xiao Xiao heard Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming's praises, he felt proud in his heart. His taste was indeed good. She can go to the hall, cook in the kitchen and enter the bedroom. She is simply a treasure in the world. What about me? You guys praise me too. Kong Ming kept his mouth shut. Kong Xiaoming shook his head and said, "If you can drive a good car, you can afford to kneel on the motherboard, and you can afford to pay for the prescription. You can strive to be the big bad wolf in the human world." Xiao Xiao, who was carrying Yinran, suddenly stopped in his tracks and almost fell from the sky. He laughed and scolded in his mind. "Kong Xiaoming, have you been watching all the Ci Yin Yu lately?" However, although the words are crude, it seems quite similar. At this moment, Yinran reminded him in a low voice, "Fly steadily, don't fall." After saying that, she tightened her arms around Xiao Xiao's waist. Her cute little head was pressed against Xiao Xiao's chest, and the fragrance of lavender surrounded Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao took in a deep breath of the alluring fragrance, steadied his mind, and quickly flew forward. "Elder Yi, the 2 hours are up. Dean Ma wants to see you." A subordinate came to report. "Bring him up." Elder Yi was leisurely drinking tea. He smiled slightly. Under the coercion, he didn't have any greed. A fishy smell entered the room. Elder Yi wrinkled his nose. "Why didn't you clean it up first before bringing him up? No matter what, you still have to leave some dignity for Dean Ma." The subordinate immediately replied, "Yes." After a while, Dean Ma was brought up again. This time, Dean Ma's spirit had recovered by more than half. However, his whole face was gloomy, as if he had a serious illness. The bruise on his neck was very obvious. From afar, it looked like he had just hanged himself. "Do you keep your words? I want to immediately transfer the money to my son's account. And I want you to promise that you will guarantee the safety of my family, and..." Dean Ma struggled to speak. It wasn't easy for him to finish the first 2 sentences, but he was interrupted by Elder Yi. "Dean Ma, now is not the time for you to talk about conditions. I have already given you enough in return. Please stop before going too far. You also know our methods. After experiencing it once, I don't think you want to experience it a second time." After saying that, the topic changed. Elder Yi smiled and walked over. He used his hand to touch Dean Ma's neck. The bruise immediately disappeared. "Dean Ma, I think you are a smart person. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. I welcome you to join our camp." Dean Ma finally got his freedom. He took back his phone and returned home. He immediately fell ill. On the surface, there were no traces, but his body was very uncomfortable. He didn't know what was stirring up his internal organs. His whole brain was about to explode. His son made an overseas call. "Dad, I suddenly have a lot of money in my account. What is going on?" Dean Ma immediately warned his son. "Son, this money is dirty money of unknown origin. Someone wants to harm us. That's why it was transferred to your account. You must not use it. This is the evidence of a criminal." His son asked in fear, "Dad, what happened? Are you all right?" Dean Ma said to his son, "Son, you must remember that you are my son. You are China's citizen. No matter what happens at home, you must remember that evil will not prevail over good. Be careful, don't go out, and protect yourself." At this time, Dean Ma had made up his mind. He organized all the information related to the case and sent the latest evidence he knew, as well as the screenshots of his son's bank account, to a secret account. Then he wrote a suicide note. "I didn't expect that monstrous evil would be hidden in the stable and peaceful world. This is a helpless choice, and also a fight to the death. I believe that evil will not prevail over good. If I die, I hope that my unfulfilled wish will be fulfilled by the comrades who come after me. A man of character will either succeed or die for a righteous cause. Dean Ma was determined to die. Taking the opportunity of working with other colleagues, he sneaked into a guest house, where there happened to be a case scene. He was looking for an old friend of his, Deputy Minister Chun of the Ministry of Supervision, who was working there. What Dean Ma didn't expect was that Deputy Minister Chun was also another key person that ESNR was looking for. Things were so coincidental, just like the rotating gears in a watch. When Deputy Minister Chun saw Dean Ma, he was shocked. His old friend had always been righteous, high-spirited, professional, and meticulous in handling cases. He was a friend that Deputy Minister Chun admired very much. However, at this time, his face was ashen, as if the end of the world was coming. The first thing Dean Ma said to Deputy Minister Chun was, "My suicide note has been written. I want to give it to you. If something happens to me, you can make it public." Deputy Minister Chun was shocked. "Old Ma, what happened to you? Is it that serious? Could it be that you've made a serious mistake? Are you here to turn yourself in?" After a series of questions, Dean Ma was in tears. "Old Chun, when did I want to come to this point? I offended people that I can't fight, but I'm not satisfied. I came to you today to tell you the evil deeds of the criminals in person." Thus, Department Head Ma tearfully told Vice Department Head Chun about his own experience and all the crimes he had discovered in the Jyotian branch. Deputy Minister Chun was shocked. He remembered that he had a similar case on his hands. He and Dean Ma checked the case, and Deputy Minister Chun also felt a sense of crisis. He quickly saved the relevant evidence in his hands and sent a copy to a secret account. "Old Ma, I guess I'll have the same fate as you. They found you, so they'll definitely find me. I admire your decision, and I'm the same as you. I'd rather die than lower my head to them." His powerful words made Dean Ma's eyes tear up. "Good brother, I knew that I wouldn't be wrong to come looking for you." While they were talking, there was a knock on the door. Deputy Minister Chun asked warily, "Who is it?" The person outside replied, "Room service." Deputy Minister Chun immediately said to Dean Ma, "Hide, and don't come out if you hear anything. We have rules here. You sneaked in, and no one is allowed to come in." Dean Ma hurriedly hid in a closet. Deputy Minister Chun opened the door and saw a strange face in the guest house's waiter uniform. "What can I do for you?" The stranger replied, "I have an important document to give you. Let me in and we can talk." Deputy Minister Chun hesitated, but when he saw the document in the stranger's hand, he opened the door and let him in. But as soon as the door was closed, Deputy Minister Chun's neck was immediately grabbed. Dean Ma, who was in the closet, almost screamed. He quickly covered his mouth with his hand and stared at the scene outside. The person who came in was the same person who grabbed his neck last time. Was it the same old trick? Was he going to use the same trick on Deputy Minister Chun? Dean Ma thought for a moment, but fortunately, at least he wouldn't be killed. Dean Ma took out his mobile phone with trembling hands and recorded the scene outside. However, he didn't expect that after about 10 minutes, the man still hadn't let go of Deputy Minister Chun's hand, and Deputy Minister Chun just lost consciousness in front of him. Seeing that Dean Ma had succeeded, the man quickly wiped Deputy Minister Chun's neck. The neck, which was originally covered with bruises, instantly became smooth and white, and returned to its original state. There were no visible wounds on Deputy Minister Chun's body. Only his face was red and purple, and there were serious bruises. The man looked around the room vigilantly. At a glance, he saw no trace of another person in the room, so he opened the door and walked out. Dean Ma came out of the closet. His legs were weak. He rushed to check Deputy Minister Chun's breathing, but found no movement. He quickly opened the door and called for help. Soon, the sound of footsteps could be heard in the corridor. 4 or 5 people rushed into Deputy Minister Chun's room. Dean Ma was screaming at the top of his lungs to call an ambulance. But what Dean Ma didn't expect was that the violent man hadn't gone far. At this time, he was watching the scene coldly. In his eyes, Dean Ma was about to become a corpse. Chapter 241. Just as Vice Principal Ma was struggling on the line between life and death, Xiao Xiao and Yinran had already arrived outside the Dongfeng family's main gate. The totem on Xiao Xiao's chest trembled with excitement. It trembled nonstop in front of Xiao Xiao's chest, and a faint golden light was already emitting from his clothes. Xiao Xiao brought Yinran to a dark place. He took out the totem from his chest and held it in his palm. A faint golden light enveloped the surrounding darkness. The totem seemed to have its own consciousness. When it encountered the great circulation formation, it was as if it had met its match. It didn't need any extra movements from Xiao Xiao as it automatically began to revolve. The small golden sword was ready to attack. Under Xiao Xiao's command, it charged towards the great circulation formation. Sure enough, there was no such thing as an unbreakable formation. The great circulation formation was deeply torn open. Xiao Xiao and Yinran glanced at each other. Xiao Xiao's hand wrapped around Yinran's waist, and the two of them quickly flew inside. Just as they had imagined, the pond was just beyond the wall. Yinran warned in a low voice, "Xiao Xiao, by all means don't touch the lotus leaf. I suspect that there might be other mechanisms on it." Everything Yinran said was right. Xiao Xiao cautiously flew above the lotus pond. Sure enough, there was a layer of fog floating above the lotus pond at night. Under the illumination of the moonlight, it actually emitted a multicolored light. Yinran, this might not be a mechanism, but a type of poisonous gas. Hurry up and hold your breath. Yinran wanted to cover her mouth and nose with her hand, but Xiao Xiao had already pressed Yinran's head against his neck, covering it tightly. Yinran made a sound and didn't move. Yinran's lips were stuck to Xiao Xiao's skin like this. Her warm and itchy breath blew on Xiao Xiao's neck. Her soft lips were even more tactile in the darkness. Xiao Xiao sighed comfortably. This kind of intimate state was really good. The two of them carefully crossed the lotus pond and slowly floated along the wall. The totem was helping them to open up a path, and they were moving forward in the meandering circular array. Xiao Xiao kept introducing the place to Yinran. The eastern part was where the various buildings were used. This was the ancestral home, this was the alchemy factory, and at the foot of the mountain ahead was the library. It was the first time for Yinran to see the whole picture of the Eastern aristocratic families. It was like a palace with mountains, rivers, and style. Yinran's eyes deepened. How much money did they have? It was like a paradise, an independent regime. Money alone would not be enough to buy such a large piece of land. It could be seen that the Eastern aristocratic families were really powerful. Looking at the alchemy factory on the 4th floor, Yinran really wanted to blow it up. Although the pills produced here could improve a cultivator's cultivation, it would also slowly confuse their minds. This was the reason why the Eastern aristocratic families had so many experts. These people slowly only knew that they were loyal to the Eastern aristocratic families and went against their own hearts. This was a slow-acting poison. After walking for a long time, they finally arrived at the library. Yinran was surprised that the entire mountain cave was where the library was located. How big of a project was this? Yinran, it's here. There's a small array inside. You have to be careful. Hold on to me tightly, I'll take you in. Xiao Xiao exhorted at this time. Xiao Xiao took out the 3D printing of Yi Xuanfei's face and smoothly entered the door. Sure enough, it was the same as the last time he came. The entire space was filled with specks of golden light. He did not know where they came from. It was like dust, like mist, and more like some small golden creatures surrounding them. Xiao Xiao, where did you get the spiritual transformation pill from last time? From the shelf over there. The whole shelf is filled with books on alchemy. Put this book back and see if there are any changes. Xiao Xiao gently jumped up from the ground and put the spiritual transformation pill back to its original place. At this time, an unforeseen event happened. Xiao Xiao and Yinran were pulled into another space in an instant. The stars moved, and the scenery in front of them changed into a green mountain and clear water. It was as if there was a filter. The colors were especially bright, and the surroundings were filled with immortal qi. The two of them seemed to be in the Jade Lake fairyland. This was not the scene that Xiao Xiao saw last time. Instead, it was a palace. And there was only a beautiful fairy in the palace, who was sleeping at this time. Xiao Xiao and Yinran looked at all of this warily. Yinran, this is the woman who refined the pill last time. Xiao Xiao and Yinran wanted to walk forward, but they found that their bodies were trapped and they could not move. Yinran said calmly, "Don't worry. Let's take a look first. Our goal is to be able to communicate with her." Just like that, Xiao Xiao and Yinran stood in place, waiting for the beautiful fairy to wake up. After an unknown period of time, a group of small animals ran into the palace and circled around the fairy's bed. A little squirrel boldly jumped onto the bed and gently touched the fairy's arm with its claws. Finally, the fairy was woken up. She was still lying lazily and looked at the naughty little squirrel beside her. She held it in her palm and touched its nose with hers. She smiled gently. "Are you hungry? You just ate in the morning. Why are you hungry again?" After saying that, she put the little squirrel on the ground and then sat up. Her long white muslin dress dragged behind her. It was not until she walked out of the palace that the last strand of muslin swung from the bed to the ground. She walked slowly and turned into another palace. This palace was like a pharmacy, and the shelves at the back were full of herbs. In the center of the room, there was a very large alchemy furnace. Yinran saw that it was not much smaller than Taishang Laojuan's alchemy furnace. The fairy stood by the fireside and gently stretched out her right hand. The little squirrel from earlier climbed up her dress and directly climbed onto her palm. The fairy lifted the little squirrel up and raised it in front of her eyes. Her voice slowly sounded, "Tell me, what do you want to eat? Is it still the spirit transforming pill?" The little squirrel could really understand the fairy's words. It kept nodding and then jumped onto the little fairy's shoulder, wanting to kiss the fairy's face. The little fairy pushed it away and shook her finger at it. She gently said, "You can't kiss here. This is reserved for my husband." After saying that, she flipped her hands. The herbs on the shelf behind her seemed to have received a command and flew into the fairy's palm one by one. At this time the fairy said, "Today, I have to practice more and feed you little brats so that you don't disturb my sleep every day." The little animals around her nodded their heads and looked at her with anticipation and adoration. Yinran and Xiao Xiao looked at this beautiful scene and couldn't bear to disturb it. The beautiful fairy's gentle words were like the whispers of a lover. Although she was only talking to little animals, her tranquility and elegance showed her nobility. "Since the two of you are here, please come in and have a seat." Xiao Xiao and Yinran clearly felt the layer of imprisonment in front of them disappear. The two of them walked forward and bowed to the fairy. Yinran went straight to the point and said, "Fairy, sorry to disturb you. We're here to ask for the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill." When the fairy heard Yinran's words, she was stunned. "I only know how to refine the spirit-transforming pill, but I've never refined the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill. You found the wrong person." Yinran continued to explain, "We already know how to refine the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill, but we need your permission." Unexpectedly, the fairy laughed loudly after hearing this. She laughed and laughed until tears came out. "Why do you need my permission to refine the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill? I only know how to refine the spirit-transforming pill. If I could refine the antidote, why would my lover die?" At the end of her words, her laughter slowly turned into sobs. Yinran's mind moved. "Why? Why do you want to refine the spirit-transforming pill? Why do I need to refine the spirit-transforming pill? Because the spirit-transforming pill took my lover's life." The fairy's eyes were filled with monstrous anger. She stared fiercely at Yinran. "Are you here to sprinkle salt on my wound?" Yinran didn't mind her. Instead, she stared at her with clear eyes. "I'm also someone who suffered from the spirit-transforming pill. I hate this kind of poison. I hope to refine the antidote. If you agree, I will also avenge you." You'll avenge me? Why? Because I've already promised your lover that I will avenge him." The fairy was stunned for a moment, then she became excited. She quickly ran over and grabbed Yinran's arm. "What did you say? You know my lover?" "Yes. After your lover was poisoned by the spirit-transforming pill and was kicked off the immortal punishment platform, he was unwilling to die like this. In the end, he turned into an immortal punishment grass. Are you the fairy from the ninth heaven, the person he loved the most?" Yinran was betting. When she saw the fairy's appearance, She connected her with the immortal punishment grass. Of the two lovers who jumped off the immortal punishment platform, one turned into grass, and the other disappeared. The fairy from the ninth heaven was stunned at first, then her eyes turned slightly red. Gradually big drops of tears fell down. You know me. Who are you? You know our story, right? Yinran held the fairy's cold hand and sighed. I'm a victim like you. You're not here to refine the spirit-transforming pill, but to refine the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill, right? The tears dripped onto Yinran's hand. Each drop was shockingly hot. The heroine of this sad story was right in front of Yinran. Yinran guessed right. Do you know why you can't refine it? The fairy from the ninth heaven widened her eyes and asked with tears in her eyes. Why? Because your lover turned into an immortal punishment grass, which is the most important herb in the spirit-transforming pill. He sacrificed his life to the spirit-transforming pill to become the antidote, so that no one in this world would suffer from the spirit-transforming pill. The fairy's body shook and tears fell like rain. I knew he wouldn't betray me. He suffered from the spirit-transforming pill just like me. He swore to make this poisonous pill disappear from the world. He's worthy of being my most beloved lover. I searched for the immortal punishment grass in this void space. I found countless similar ones, but I couldn't refine them. The pills I refined were all fed to the small animals around me. Instead, they became more and more spiritual. I called my medicine the spirit-transforming pill. In fact, what I refined was really the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill. Chapter 242. Fairy, after such a long time, the outside world has already changed. You have also been brought to this space. The spiritual transformation pill still exists in this world, and it is currently in the hands of a group of bad people. I guess this group of bad people should be the descendants of the group that framed you. I was also framed by them, and lost all of my spiritual power. I promise you, just like I promised your lover, I will definitely defeat them and avenge you. I will also make this poison, the spiritual transformation pill, disappear from this world. The ninth heaven fairy's tears flowed down. At this time, she was already speechless. Yinran reminded her of an infinitely sad thing. Yinran helped her sit down. She took out a pill and swallowed it. Her sad mood was slightly relieved. What is your name? My name is Yinran. He is Xiao Xiao. He also came from the demon world. The ninth heaven fairy raised her head and looked at Xiao Xiao. Her eyes flashed with amazement. He is the same as my lover. His appearance is comparable to the sun and moon. You have to cherish him. On the eve of the wedding, he was defiled by that group of evil women. It is an eternal pain in my heart. I think this is also the reason why I couldn't find him after I jumped off the immortal punishment platform. He must feel ashamed to face me, and is too ashamed to see me. But when have I ever despised him? But I really regret missing out on the most beautiful moment of my life. The so-called dogma of the world is a kind of delay. According to the saying of the demon realm, it must be on the night of the big wedding to carry out the ritual. But the ninth heaven fairy was so sad that she couldn't continue. Xiao Xiao, please take out the immortal punishment grass, and let the ninth heaven fairy take a look at her lover. Xiao Xiao turned his wrist, and took out the immortal grass from the bracelet. The immortal grass was well preserved by Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming. The dewdrops on the grass were still there. The ninth heaven fairy held the immortal grass in her hands like a peerless treasure. Her hands were trembling so much that she almost couldn't hold it. Her lips couldn't stop trembling, and even her chin was trembling. She muttered the name of her lover, Invincible. Yinran hugged the ninth heaven fairy, and let her lean on her shoulder. Xiao Xiao simply walked away, leaving a relatively closed space. After a while, Xiao Xiao heard the sound of crying coming from the room. Yinran is too smart. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming sighed in the bracelet. She actually guessed the woman's identity directly. There's hope for the antidote to your spirit-transforming pill. That's right. His Yinran had always been this smart. Xiao Xiao leaned against the door of the palace with his hands in his pockets. He looked at the small animals running around on the ground. He didn't expect the demon realm to have such a person. He must ask her when he goes back. After a long time, the crying gradually subsided. Yinran came out of the room. Her eyes were also a bit red. The immortal punishment grass is tired from crying. She fell asleep while hugging it. Looks like we'll have to stay here for 2 more days. Xiao Xiao hugged Yin Ran into his arms. Don't be sad. Our fate won't be like theirs. Yin Ran leaned into Xiao Xiao's arms, feeling a little down. She lowered her eyes and didn't want to speak. Xiao Xiao, Yin Ran seems to be in a bad mood. Is she under too much pressure? Kong Xiaoming asked in the bracelet. Of course. Yin Ran is shouldering the responsibility of the entire southern aristocratic family and the cultivation world. How can she not be under a lot of pressure? Kong Ming directly replied. Xiao Xiao rolled his eyes. Yin Ran, I think the 9th Heaven Immortal said something right. We don't have to follow the bullshit rules of the demon realm. We're wasting so much of our youth. As soon as Yin Ran heard this, she knew that he was thinking of some bad ideas. She glared at him and said, Is there nothing else in your head except for this? But Xiao Zhao's interruption made Yin Ran's heavy mood a bit better. Yin Ran, the scenery in this space is very good. While the 9th Heaven Immortal is sleeping, let's walk around. Yin Ran hadn't answered yet. The little animals that had been surrounding them nodded. Their originally sneaky little eyes actually showed a look of hospitality. Several little animals had already run forward quickly. After running for a while, they turned back and chirped at the 2 of them. Let's go, Yin Ran. They're going to take us to a good place. Under the guidance of the little animals, the 2 of them crossed half a mountain and finally came to a place where flowers were in full bloom. Wow, such a large area of lavender is so beautiful. Kong Xiaoming couldn't help but exclaim. A concave valley was now covered by a mountain of lavender flowers. When the breeze blew, the entire lavender field was like a deep purple wave that undulated up and down. Sprites stained with dew were growing vigorously. They were like flowers yet not flowers and like grass yet not grass. The flower-shaped stems were squeezed with purple smoke, and cobalt blue flower buds were exposed outside. The warm purple petals were like light wings, and they had a very soft texture with a hint of redness. It was an otherworldly beauty. There were countless tiny black dots printed on it, and each flower was a charming face. A unique fragrance wafted into his nose. There was a slight spicy smell of camphor in the mint, and an extremely light sweetness. The oil glands hidden in the leaves and flowers emitted a fragrance when touched by the breeze. This was the fragrance that Yin Ran liked the most. At this moment, her heavy heart was stretched out again in the fragrance of the flowers. Yin Ran. Some people say that the lavender wraps the girl's persistent love soul. She always waits in the valley where we first met, waiting for the miracle of love. Now, my goddess, has she waited for the miracle of love? Xiao Xiao suddenly knelt down on one knee in front of Yin Ran. He took out an exquisite box out of nowhere and opened it to reveal a huge diamond ring that sparkled under the sunlight. Yin Ran, although I am the crown prince of the devil world, I have now found my goddess in the human world. I am willing to propose to you according to the rules of the human world. Thank you for letting me into your life. Perhaps I am not the most perfect man in this world, but I am definitely the man who loves you the most in this world, whether it is now, in the future, or forever. No matter how smooth the road ahead is, or how difficult it is, I will always be by your side. I will always protect you, never leave you, and accompany you for life. Yin Ran, will you marry me? Yin Ran was stunned. She looked at the boy who knelt down in front of her. His flawless face and deep eyes were full of tension, longing, and a trace of worry and uncertainty. Damn! Xiao Xiao, your heart is beating so fast. Why did you suddenly think of proposing? This is too sudden. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming widened their eyes and looked forward to it in disbelief. Xiao Zhao's palms and forehead were sweating. This was not his previous plan. When he saw the beauty of the lavender, he suddenly wanted to give Yin Ran a surprise, and also give himself a surprise. After saying that, he regretted it. How could he have prepared so poorly? There were no relatives or friends around. In this virtual space, would Yin Ran be unhappy? Would she think that he was too casual? The surrounding small animals looked at this scene curiously. They ran around Xiao Xiao and Yin Ran, as if they were shouting excitedly. Say yes. Say yes. Yin Ran did not speak for a long time. She only twitched the corners of her mouth stiffly. Xiao Xiao was really regretting it. Impulse was the devil. He should not have been impulsive. If it were him, he would never have agreed to such a simple proposal. He lowered his head and closed the ring. The disappointment in his eyes was covered in the blink of an eye. When he looked up again, a cynical smile was on his face again. Yinran, don't take it seriously. I was just joking. Suddenly, Yinran's face enlarged in front of his eyes. The fragrance of lavender came from afar. A pair of delicate peach lips pressed against Xiao Xiao's. Then, he heard Yinran say in a low voice, I do. Then, Xiao Xiao became dizzy. Yinran's initiative caught him off guard. The huge ecstasy overturned him at once. All the sounds around him were automatically blocked by him. At this time, there was only one voice in his heart. Yinran said yes. Originally, he had envisioned many romantic scenes with him as the main character. He wanted to show his most perfect side to Yinran. But at this moment, he was pressed down in the middle of the flowers. His clothes were already stained with mud, and his hair was also covered with lavender petals. But Yinran still didn't care about anything, and was still rubbing his hair into a chicken nest. He knew that he was smiling very foolishly, even like a mentally retarded child. But Yinran told him, this is the most real you. I like you like this. Xiao Xiao's mind was blank. The first kiss was led up and down by Yinran. He could not help but ask Yinran, is it true? Do you agree? I promise you. Oh Yinran, my good Yinran. For the first time, Xiao Xiao felt that he was clumsy. He did not know what to say to express his feelings. He only knew how to hug Yinran and roll around in the lavender grass. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at the lavender bushes that had been ruined by the two of them. I really can't watch anymore. He's so excited just by agreeing to an engagement. He's simply a destructive maniac. If we directly get married, will he die on the spot from excitement? Bah, what are you talking about? If we get married, I will take Yinran to heaven and earth. The two of them rolled for a long time before stopping. Xiao Xiao's mouth did not close. He looked at Yinran and smiled foolishly. At this time, a strange feeling came from his feet. It turned out that the clever little squirrel had picked up the diamond ring that he had lost in his excitement. Xiao Xiao sat up and took the diamond ring in a very good mood. He patted the little squirrel's little head and said, thank you. Yinran, let me help you put it on. I bought this with the money I earned. It was not given to me by Uncle Wu. Yinran put her slender fingers into Xiao Xiao's hand. But I didn't prepare one for you. I will make it up to you when I get my first salary. Xiao Xiao admired the sparkling diamond ring on Yinran's slender fingers. His heart finally calmed down a little. The future crown prince consort was really confirmed. His worries about Yinran finally settled today. Xiao Xiao hugged Yinran and rocked back and forth. His mood was like a roller coaster. He was satisfied as if he had survived a disaster. Yinran, I was impulsive just now. I originally wanted to give you a grand proposal ceremony. I don't know why, but when I saw this lavender grass, I felt that it should be your favorite place. Yinran looked at the boy who was satisfied with her. Ah Xiao, you really understand me. All the warmth did not need to be expressed in words. In this strange space, this pair of lovers who had been through a lot finally recognized each other's hearts. Chapter 243. Vice Director Ma watched as Vice Director Chun was carried into the ambulance. He didn't follow because his legs were so weak that he couldn't support himself. He sat down on the ground, and his whole body was drenched in sweat. He took out his phone and sent the video he just took to the secret account. This was his life-saving talisman, and also the only person who could control the supreme power. Minister Zhou looked at his mailbox. He had received secret letters one after another in the past 2 days. The contents of these letters made him more and more gloomy. One by one, they were very detailed. If all of this was made public, he and the Eastern aristocratic family would fall into an irreversible situation. Fortunately, this secret account was his own mailbox. This ridiculous Vice Principal Ma and Vice Minister Chun were still waiting for him to save them. However, Mr. Yi of the Eastern aristocratic family was becoming more and more careless. His background was about to be exposed. Minister Zhou picked up the phone. Your every move is under surveillance. All the evidence is now in my computer. Do you want to see it? Minister Zhou's cold words made Mr. Ye's heart skip a beat. What do you mean? A video was sent to Mr. Ye's phone. Zishuan's cultivators were strangling Vice Minister Chen. Mr. Ye's hand trembled. Where did this video come from? Vice Principal Ma sent it to me. He still expects me to save him. This person can't be left alive. No evidence can be left behind. You were stupid enough to transfer money to his son's account. I think you have a lot of money. Remember to send this money to the casinos abroad. Also destroy the video in your phone. If there is a record of it being sent, then track it down. Now. Minister Zhou's voice was stern. It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck Mr. Ye's head. Yes, I'll do it right away. Mr. Yi was covered in cold sweat. He underestimated Vice Principal Ma and Vice Minister Chen's character. He thought it would be easy to capture them with threats and promises. But he didn't expect them to sell him out. Luckily I killed that Chen guy. Now this Ma guy can't blame me for being ruthless. Deputy Director Ma staggered back home. He lived on the 10th floor. It was broad daylight, and there was no one at home. He slumped on the sofa and thought about the whole incident with a pale face. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. Although he had already written his will, the death of Deputy Director Chen in front of him was indeed a big blow to him. His only hope now was that the secret account would take action. Could he delay until that day? He was about to go into the room and turn on the computer to see if there was a reply. As soon as he stood up from the sofa, he felt dizzy and fell back down. It seemed that he was really scared. He trembled and picked up the cold water on the coffee table, wanting to take a sip to calm down. However, his hands were trembling so much that he couldn't even hold the cold water bottle steadily. The water spilled out, and only a small portion of it was poured into the cup. He picked it up and took a sip, but he still couldn't calm down. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. It was like a sudden clap of thunder that exploded in his heart. He could even hear his own heart beating like a drum. He controlled himself not to make any sound to create the illusion that there was no one at home. He didn't even dare to look through the peephole to see who was knocking on the door. But after a while, he heard someone at the door call out, "Delivery man, is anyone home?" He remembered that his wife had helped him buy a few pairs of socks online 2 days ago. It should be a delivery man. He took a deep breath. At this moment his phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was his wife. He swiped the answer button and heard his wife's voice. "The delivery man just called me and said that there was a package at home. Are you at home?" Yes, I'm at home." "All right, keep it then." His wife hung up the phone. Deputy Director Ma stood up, walked to the door, and looked through the peephole. It was indeed someone wearing a delivery man's uniform. He breathed a sigh of relief, opened the door, and took the package. He quickly closed the door and locked it. Leaning against the door, he closed his eyes and panted in fear. But when he opened his eyes, he found that the person who had strangled his neck was sitting on the sofa where he had been sitting. Deputy Director Ma cried out in horror. You, how did you get in?" The person laughed and said, "I can get in no matter what. You're dead." At this time, Vice Principal Ma suddenly burst out with infinite strength. He rushed into the bathroom next to the door and quickly locked the door. He quickly searched his whole body, trying to find his mobile phone. But at this time, he found that the phone was thrown on the sofa. His heart was beating wildly. His house had just been renovated not long ago. The door of the bathroom was made of solid wood, so it was quite sturdy. He prayed in his heart, hoping that the door could hold. But in less than 2 seconds he heard a bang. He, who was leaning against the door, directly hit the opposite wall. The door was knocked open. Then he was grabbed by the neck and dragged directly from the bathroom to the living room. Vice Principal Ma struggled desperately and grabbed the murderer's arm, but it was useless. The hand was like an iron clamp that held him tightly. He was like a dead dog, his limbs swaying unconsciously. The person looked at him, as if he was looking at a dead man. Vice President Ma was in a trance. He knew that he couldn't escape from this. However, he was still glad that he had sent the key evidence to that secret account. Even if he died, that secret account would bring these bad guys to justice one day. He had an unspeakable admiration and respect for this secret account. He had vaguely heard that it was a special unit that protected humans. As long as he persevered a little longer, they would come. But Deputy Director Ma didn't see them until he died. The murderer looked at his masterpiece and sneered. You want to fight with the Eastern aristocratic family? With the strength of an ant? Then he erased all the scars on Deputy Director Ma's body, carefully checked his house, and destroyed all the evidence on his computer and mobile phone. In the process of searching, he found his suicide note. The murderer directly imitated his handwriting, wrote another suicide note, and put it on the coffee table of the sofa. I want to repent to the organization. For so many years, I have done a lot of wrong things. I am sorry for the organization's cultivation. Today, I will apologize with my death. Ma ##. Then, he completely erased all traces of him in the room. Like carrying a little chick, he carried Vice Principal Ma to the balcony, opened the window, placed a small stool, and directly pushed Vice Principal Ma down from upstairs. After everything was done, a few seconds later, there was a bang sound of falling to the ground, and the screams of the people around. The murderer sneered and calmly left Deputy Director Ma's house. Mr. Yi watched the news. Deputy Director Ma jumped from a 10-story building and left a suicide note. He committed suicide to escape punishment. He was sorry to the organization. It was said that he had depression before his death. At the same time, it was also reported that Deputy Director Chen suddenly died in the workplace in the performance of official duties. The cause of death was unknown, and the police were investigating. In any case, although this time they didn't pull these two key figures to their side, at least the clues were cut off here, and they could take a breather. Has the money in Deputy Director Ma's son's account been transferred out? It has been transferred out. At that time, it was just a virtual transfer, and it didn't really go into his account. Ming Tian reported. Good, according to the request of the higher-ups, directly transfer it out of the country. But Mr. Yi, although this matter has been solved, our financial crisis still exists. Do we still have to transfer so much money? Mr. Yi gritted his teeth. The protection of the higher-ups must be guaranteed. If they made the higher-ups unhappy, then their lives would be even more difficult. I will ask the higher-ups again. Ming Tian was distressed, but there was nothing he could do. The higher-ups were a wolf that couldn't be fed. Mr. Yi, you have to think twice. I think the higher-ups are simply a bottomless pit. We have already given him so much money, but he still can't be fed. With this money, we could have lived a comfortable life long ago. Why must we feed him? Ming Tian said with righteous indignation. He is in charge of the entire cultivation world. If we don't listen to him, who should we listen to? Mr. Yi was helpless. Old man Yi, think about it. He's just an ordinary human being. If he lived peacefully with us and shared some benefits, that would be understandable. But his appetite is getting bigger and bigger, and it's almost impossible for us to live anymore. Are we still going to tolerate him? Mr. Yi, think about it again. He is just an ordinary human. Ming Tian persuaded earnestly, and at the same time, his eyes revealed a fierce look. What do you mean? Mr. Yi suddenly opened his eyes wide and stared at Ming Tian. Ming Tian nodded hard. Mr. Yi, instead of letting him control us, can't we control him? Mr. Yi suddenly shut his mouth, and a huge wave of emotion surged in his eyes. Mr. Yi told the higher-ups about his request on the phone, and it indeed made the higher-ups very unhappy. Mr. Yi quickly asked for a meeting. Director Zhou, I feel that there is a need to give you a comprehensive report on the actual situation. It is related to our future strategic direction. I need your guidance. Director Zhou reluctantly agreed. The two agreed to meet at a secret location. This time the security measures were very comprehensive. Mr. Yi arranged all his people outside the meeting place, and also set up a formation. Even a fly couldn't fly in. The higher-ups made Mr. Yi wait for a full 2 hours before they came. But Mr. Yi could only clench his teeth and endure. When the higher-ups came in with a gloomy face, Mr. Yi quickly smiled and personally took off his coat and hung it up. He pulled out a chair and waited for him to sit. Director Zhou, we have encountered a very big problem right now. We want to ask for your help. With your way of doing things, You have already been exposed. Yes, yes, yes. It is indeed our incompetence. Mr. Yi lowered his head and admitted his mistake. Recently, we feel that we are being controlled everywhere. The funds can't be returned. Right now the cash outflow is a big problem. Do you think we can slow down the overseas funds? Chapter 244. I've given you so much power and paved every path for you. Yet you're telling me that it's very difficult? Minister Zhou, it's really not easy to manage such a big business. Moreover, I have a feeling that there's an invisible hand pushing these things behind the scenes. Do you think someone is playing dirty tricks in the dark? Who can play dirty tricks on you? Can't you just move your fingers and everything will be settled? Moreover, aren't you still producing pills? Could it be that the cultivators below are disobedient? That's not true. From my perspective, everything is normal. However, recently, everything has been going wrong. I also feel that it's very strange. Or is it because your ability to manage the business is not enough? In today's society, it's not just brute force that can win. If something that even you cultivators can't handle, do you think ordinary people can? Yes, yes, yes. We still need to improve our standards. However, Minister Zhou still wants to ask you to transfer the money outside the country. Can you wait a little longer? This matter is not negotiable. It must be transferred immediately. Minister Zhou, you have to let us live. If we can't live, who will provide you with an endless supply of supplies in the future? Elder Ye's voice slowly changed from the initial low voice to a calm one. Minister Zhou felt the change in Elder Ye's attitude. He narrowed his eyes. Are you trying to break the pot with me? Elder Yi saw that he couldn't get through to Minister Zhou. The negotiation had broken down. He simply sat up straight and leaned against the sofa behind him. His tone carried a hint of threat. Minister Zhou, sometimes a person has to stop before going too far. Only when both of us win can we be happy. Minister Zhou narrowed his eyes. Looking at your attitude, you want to rebel? Elder Yi smiled noncommittally. The word rebel is not the word. It's just a kind persuasion. I hope that Minister Zhou will consider it. Then what if I say that I don't have time to consider it? Then I'll have to consider it carefully. After Old Man Yi finished speaking, he glared at Zhou Donghuang, and a wave of pressure spread out. The power of a Saint Illusionary Realm cultivator was different from the others. A boundless power like the sea smashed towards Department Head Zhou's head. Old Master Yi left some leeway. He was afraid that he would smash this insignificant human to death. He only used a little of his strength. He was already laughing in his heart. Who asked you to yell at me all the time? Who asked you to demand so much from me? I should have let you have a taste of living a life worse than death. The feeling of being the master was 2F** King awesome. In less than a second, the faint smile on Elder Ye's face suddenly froze. His pressure seemed to have met an indestructible wall, and he couldn't get past it. Could it be that there was a problem with the array he had set up? He sensed his surroundings and found that the array formation was still there, enveloping the entire room like a barrier. He glanced at Minister Zhou, who was still sitting on the sofa with a gloomy expression, as if nothing had happened. Elder Yi suddenly became nervous. What kind of power could block it? He increased his pressure a little, about 40% of his strength, and rushed over. At this moment, Department Head Zhou stood up from the sofa and reached out his hand to gently push forward. Suddenly, the air in the entire room started to swirl. Elder Yi only felt that the pressure he released had wrapped around him. The power came from all directions, making his body unable to move. The most serious part was the bend of his knee. He didn't know why his knee involuntarily wanted to bend. He knelt on the ground with a plop. The pain from his knee hitting the ground made him grimace in pain. But what followed was psychological fear. As an old man in the Saint Illusionary Realm, he hadn't felt this kind of fear for many years. This was a kind of disparity in power. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. It was a realm that he couldn't jump to no matter how hard he tried. For so many years, after he entered the door of the Saint Illusionary Realm, he couldn't go any further. He thought that his cultivation had reached the peak, but today, he actually encountered a power that made him want to crawl on the ground. He looked at Department Head Zhou, who was looking at him gloomily. He was shocked. He opened his mouth in disbelief and wanted to say something, but the pressure had begun to make his throat taste sweet. As soon as he opened his mouth, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He quickly retracted the pressure and didn't dare to release it in this enclosed space. But his body was still bound. He knelt on the ground with his head hanging down. His neck seemed to be pressed by 1,000 pounds of gravity. He couldn't straighten his back. Old Man Yi used all the strength in his body to resist the pressure of Mount Tai. He concentrated all his strength on his back and neck. All the muscles in his body were trembling. He resisted like a weightlifter. His knees were deeply embedded in the ground, and there was a hole in the ground. His arms pressed against the ground, trying to absorb the power transmitted from the ground to add a little energy to his back. But it was useless. Old Man Ye's knees were curled up to his chest, maintaining a kneeling position. His whole body was pressed to the ground, and it seemed that he was going to be embedded in the ground. In this way, Old Man Yi was pressed down for nearly half an hour. Department head Joe didn't say a word and just drank tea for half an hour. It wasn't until he washed the tea in the cup 3 times that he asked faintly, "Do you still want to rebel?" Old Man Yi finally understood that Department head Joe was an expert in a higher realm than him. He was hiding his strength. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Wasn't he courting death? For a master in the Void Saint realm, it was as easy as stepping on an ant to kill a master in the Void Saint realm. Department head Joe, I am sorry. I was wrong. Old Man Yi squeezed out these words from between his teeth. The pressure on his body finally disappeared. Old Man Yi still maintained the posture just now, lying on the ground and gasping for breath. He needed to adjust his breath. He felt that the pressure just now almost took away half of his life. When Old Man Yi finally gasped for breath and sat down on the sofa, he found that his clothes had been crumpled. He trembled and picked up his teacup on the table, wanting to take a sip. However, his hand slipped, and the teacup fell to the ground. The tea splashed all over the floor. His hands kept shaking, and he didn't have any strength to grab anything. "Old Man Yi, what's wrong? Did you have a stroke by accident? Why are you shaking like this?" Department head Joe's cold words sounded in his ears. Old Man Yi didn't dare to be rash anymore. He quickly crossed his trembling hands and lowered his head, not daring to look at Department head Joe. "The Eastern aristocratic family swears to be loyal to you. We won't dare to do it again." "Humph. You won't cry until you see the coffin. Do what I tell you well. Find a way to solve the cash flow problem yourself. Use some special methods at special times. Just don't be so stupid anymore. Don't let others catch you. Be careful in whatever you do. I can't protect you like this every time. If anything happens again, your Jotian family will directly go out and take the blame." After that, Department head Joe stood up, dusted his clothes and walked out of the room. Ming Tian, who was at the door, didn't know what was going on inside. He only saw the department head glancing at him without leaving a trace. Then he couldn't help but be pushed to the ground, showing a crawling posture. He raised his head in horror and looked at Department head Joe's back, who had already walked away. After a while he stood up. He rushed into the room and saw Old Man Yi sitting on the sofa. He looked at Old Man Yi with a face full of horror. He pointed at the door and stammered, "Old Man Yi, he." Then he heard Old Man Yi say weakly, "His realm is higher than mine. Don't think about resisting. Just do it obediently." After hearing this, Ming Tian only felt his legs and stomach trembling nonstop. He also sat down on the chair. Xiao Xiao and Yinran were in this world space. They didn't know what was going on outside at all. They were still working hard for their own spiritual transformation pill. When the two of them returned to the Ninth Heaven Fairy's palace, they saw that the Ninth Heaven Fairy had already woken up. She was holding the immortal execution grass in a daze. Yinran walked forward and gently sat beside her. "Fairy, are you feeling better?" The Ninth Heaven Fairy looked at the sparkling diamond ring on Yinran's hand, and then looked at Xiao Xiao. "I really envy you guys. The beauty in this world comes from nothing. It is a good beginning and a good end. I know why you guys are here. This is also my wish. With Invincible's immortal execution grass, I will definitely be able to help you guys refine the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. Come with me." The ninth heaven fairy led the two of them to the alchemy room. The little animals couldn't wait to surround the room and chirp nonstop. The pill I'm refining this time is not your food. Obediently help at the side. Don't come up and make trouble. The fairy's soft words made the little animals nod their heads. In their hearts, the fairy was the most beautiful and gentle. Yinran and Xiao Xiao looked at the fairy interacting with the little animals. They sighed in their hearts. What a beautiful woman! Originally, she was the envy of the world, but now she had such a tragic ending. The fairy seemed to be able to see the sympathy in their eyes. The fairy smiled. You don't have to sympathize with me. I have finally found my lover. I feel that my life is complete. After refining the pill, this space will no longer exist. I only hope that you guys can help me and my lover complete our unfinished wishes. After saying that, she didn't look back and focused on igniting the flame in the alchemy furnace. The ninth heaven fairy's movements were like moving clouds and flowing water, full of beauty. Layers of flame rose from the bottom of the alchemy furnace. At different heights, the color of the flame was different. After a while, the ninth heaven fairy turned to Xiao Xiao and said, "The size of the flame needs to be controlled by someone. Previously I was alone. Doing several things at the same time would affect the effect of refining the pill. So Xiao Xiao, can you help me control the flame?" "No problem. Leave it to me. We have practiced many times before. You can't move here. No matter what happens, you must maintain the intensity of the flame." Yinran took out the cauldron they used to refine the pill and handed it to the ninth heaven fairy. "Do you think this cauldron can help?" Chapter 245. The ninth heaven fairy's eyes lit up. "This is a treasure. We can use it to refine the small herbs first, then transfer them to the big cauldron. Then Yinran, you'll be in charge of refining the herbs in the small cauldron." The fairy turned her finger, and a small flame ignited from her middle finger, igniting the small cauldron in Yinran's hand. Then the ninth heaven fairy silently chanted a few incantations, and the small cauldron was surrounded by flames. The small cauldron's flame was blue, and the big cauldron's flame was multicolored. The entire alchemy room was wrapped in hot flames, like a burning hope. Xiao Xiao and Yinran looked at each other. Their cheeks were illuminated by the flames, and their eyes were filled with affection, as if there were living creatures swaying in a line of affection. Yinran, maintain the temperature of the small cauldron like this. I've already set it to a constant temperature. You just need to refine these herbs into powder. You two have to hold on. I've already practiced many times before. Other than the steps of the immortal execution grass, I've already memorized the other steps. All the herbs need to be refined 49 times. Yinran retracted her gaze and suddenly realized why they hadn't succeeded before. It turned out that the spirit transformation pill book didn't mention the requirement of 49 times. It seemed that the ninth heaven fairy had slowly figured it out. You two have to focus. When you're done, you'll have plenty of time to be intimate. The most important thing now is to refine the pill. Yinran and Xiao Xiao blushed at her words and immediately focused on refining the pill. Yinran and the others had also brought some herbs over, but for this 49 times, this amount of herbs was completely insufficient. Although the ninth heaven fairy had a lot of herbs, it was still not enough. Thus, the ninth heaven fairy ordered the two of them to watch the fire, and she went up the mountain to pick herbs. Yinran and Xiao Xiao did not dare to move, except for Yinran, who occasionally threw some pills into the small furnace. But the pills in their hands were about to be used up. Layer after layer of white medicinal liquid had been refined, and the ninth heaven fairy had not returned yet. Yinran wanted to use a small bowl to scoop out the concoction, but when she looked around, she couldn't find any utensils to hold the concoction. She turned to look at Xiao Xiao and said, "Xiao Xiao, do you have a small bowl next to you?" Xiao Xiao also looked around. "I don't have anything here. Even the immortal extermination grass is gone." Yinran turned around abruptly. "What did you say? Even the immortal extermination grass is gone?" "Yes, I think it was beside me just now." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming jumped out. "The ninth heaven fairy took the immortal extermination grass away. We saw it." Xiao Xiao immediately reported to Yinran. "Yinran, something is wrong." The ninth heaven fairy said she went to pick herbs, but she took the immortal extermination grass away. Yinran couldn't help but worry. She had a feeling that the ninth heaven fairy seemed to be too calm after waking up. There was even a smile on her face, so calm that it was a little strange. The more Yinran thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. She suddenly stopped what she was doing. Xiao Xiao, something is wrong. Let's hurry and find her. I'm afraid something will happen. Xiao Xiao chased after Yinran. Yinran didn't look around aimlessly. Instead, she grabbed a small animal on the ground and asked it to lead the way to the ninth heaven fairy. The small animals were really intelligent. They immediately led Yinran and Xiao Xiao in the direction of the lavender. At this time, it was already late at night. When Xiao Xiao and Yinran arrived at the lavender hillside, they saw a patch of darkness shrouding the bright flowers during the day. In the middle of the flowers, the ninth heaven fairy, who was wearing a white gauze, had already dug a big hole. She was currently lying in the hole, surrounded by gauze, covering the entire bottom of the hole. She was hugging the immortal extermination grass in her arms, and her body was covered with lavender. At this time, her expression was serene. The sparkling and translucent teardrop at the corner of her eye had already dried up. In the bottom of the hole, she was breathtakingly beautiful. Yinran quickly jumped into the hole. She pushed aside the lavender and checked the ninth heaven fairy's pulse. Yinran's hand trembled. She looked at Xiao Xiao and shook her head slightly. Xiao Xiao's heart immediately sank. The ninth heaven fairy wasn't here. Who would help Yinran refine the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill? So she was already prepared to die. No wonder she was so calm, Yinran said sadly. But at this time, the little squirrel that was filled with spiritual energy came to the side of the hole and passed a letter to her. It was left behind by the ninth heaven fairy. Yinran, don't blame me for not being willing to help you. It's just that I am unable to personally refine my lover into the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. I hope you can understand. My lover and I are suffering from the pain of not being able to sleep together in life. I hope that we can be buried together in death. So Yinran, let us die together first. After we have coexisted, you can dig us out. Not only will the invincible become the immortal extermination grass, I will also become one of the herbs and coexist with him. This is my wish. I want to be together with the invincible forever. Wait a few more days. Wait until we have turned into immortal extermination grass before coming again. After Yinran finished reading the letter, she passed it to Xiao Xiao with a heavy heart. After Xiao Xiao finished reading, he sighed and went forward to hug Yinran. This might be a kind of release for her. She can finally be together with the invincible. There are so many lovers in the world, but there are very few who can be as happy as the two of us. Xiao Xiao, let's pay our respects to them. The two of them can be considered as our masters. The invincible is your master, and the hibiscus spectrum belongs to the ninth heaven fairy. She is my master. In the unseen world, the two of us can also be considered as their descendants. Let us send them on their way. My heart is filled with panic. Kong Xiaoming is already crying in my bracelet. I also want to cry. What should I do? The rims of Yinran's eyes were already red. The two of them hugged each other and cried. In this lavender bush, a tombstone was erected for the invincible couple. As their disciples, the two of them knelt in front of the tombstone and guarded it for 3 days and 3 nights. The ninth heaven fairy's serene appearance did not change at all in these few days. On the 3rd day, when the sky brightened, the ninth heaven fairy's body gradually turned illusory. The light muslin on her body fluttered with the wind and gradually flew up into the sky. It contrasted with the red clouds on the horizon, forming a perfect contrast. And in the huge pit that was filled with lavender, only 2 precious herbs were left. The original immortal extermination grass was still fresh and glistening. At this moment, there was another unknown grass wrapped around its leaves. It wriggled up from the roots. It was like a kind of entanglement, but more like a kind of dependence. Or it could be said that there was also a solemn and stirring declaration of sovereignty. Yinran devoutly held up the 2 grasses. She was happy that the 2 of them were finally united. Xiao Xiao, they are finally together. Yes, master and mistress are finally together. No one will disturb them anymore. They also have their own disciples to send them off. Everything should be perfect. Yinran, next, it's time for us to take revenge for them. Let's go. Let's recover our spiritual power first. Starlight flowed in the eyes of the two. A sense of mission arose spontaneously. The two of them brought the two grasses back to the pill refining room. Xiao Xiao. I think that the ninth heaven fairy was lying to us when she said that we should practice the herbs 7 by 749 times. The book didn't mention this process. Maybe she was just stalling for time. I guess so too. Let's practice according to the method you researched before. Okay, let's review the refining methods of the other herbs. After we make sure there are no mistakes, we'll add the immortal execution grass. Now the benefits of Xiao Xiao and Yinran practicing for so long could be seen. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming watched the two's smooth movements in the space, as well as their calm temperature control. They couldn't help but praise, Xiao Xiao, you're really good. The temperature is actually perfect. You're like a standard thermometer. That's right. Why don't you ask Brother Qiao who he is? I've been practicing for so long. Moreover, it's Yinran's matter. How can I not do my best? But Xiao Xiao, let me remind you. If Yinran recovers her spiritual power, then you can't do whatever you want. Kong Xiaoming suddenly said. Xiao Xiao's hand trembled. What do you mean? Can't you figure it out? If Yinran recovers her spiritual power, then it won't be so easy for you to control her. F***CK. Your brother Qiao relies on brute force. I rely on my charm. Did you forget that when I proposed 2 days ago, it was Yinran who took the initiative? You just wait and see. Yinran is very busy. Kong Ming didn't mind blowing things up and added. This grass was seriously planted in Xiao Zhao's heart, and it was gradually growing. He looked at Yinran and asked with uncertainty. Yinran, after you recover your spiritual power, will you? Xiao Xiao hesitated and couldn't ask the question he wanted to ask. Yinran was concentrating on putting in the herbs. Let's make the pills first. I don't know if I can recover my spiritual power. Don't think too much. The most important thing is to control the temperature. Xiao Xiao thought about it and agreed. He had led Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming astray. You two shut up. Since Yinran has agreed to my proposal, then my happiness is just around the corner. The most important thing now is to make the pills. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked up at the sky. Kong Xiaoming said directly, Yinran is stronger than you. After she recovers her spiritual power, won't you be more afraid of her like before? Am I afraid? I love her. Love gives birth to respect. Although Xiao Xiao was stubborn, he suddenly felt that Kong Xiaoming was right. He glanced at Yinran with hidden bitterness. He remembered his previous happiness, which was something that couldn't be obtained even if he begged for it. Yinran, who had no spiritual power, was better. No matter what he did, she couldn't resist. Yinran looked up and saw Xiao Zhao's eyes. She knew that he was thinking nonsense again. She directly threw the herbs in her hand at Xiao Xiao. If you think nonsense again, I'll return the diamond ring to you. Xiao Xiao was so scared that he trembled. He didn't dare to think nonsense anymore, and began to make the pills seriously. In this way, the two of them tried again and again. After 3 days and 3 nights, they really didn't have enough herbs. They had to go up the mountain to find the same herbs. Fortunately, the space here was big enough, and they could easily find any herbs they wanted. After many experiments, they finally had a good idea of the order of placing all kinds of herbs, and how many to place. Yinran made a balance and accurately measured the quantity down to the gram. Finally, she gave Yinran a chemical formula. As long as they followed this formula, they would definitely be able to make the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. Xiao Xiao looked at Yinran's serious appearance, and his heart was full of worship and love. Where could he find such a smart woman? He believed that in the whole world, there was only one person like her. In this way, everything was finally ready. All that was left was the last official appearance. Chapter 246. After going through countless trials, Yinran carefully inspected the powder that they had refined. She divided it into different portions and placed it in small bowls. The book said that when refining the immortal execution grass, The powder of other herbs had to be added little by little to achieve a sufficient fusion and produce the correct medicinal effect at different temperatures. Xiao Zhao's task was to write different names and amounts, and a small label was attached to the small bowl. This was a laboratory. Looking at the small bowl that was already full of labels and half a cabinet, Xiao Zhao stretched his body in satisfaction. Yanran, have we already completed half of the work? Yanran stretched her shoulders. After all, she was not like Xiao Zhao, who still had magic power to support himself. Her eyes were red and dark. Xiao Zhao had already helped her several times, but the exhaustion of her body could not be deceived. Yanran, you can't continue like this, you have to rest. We don't know how long we will have to practice later, and we can't stop halfway. If your energy can't keep up, then wouldn't all our previous efforts be wasted? Yanran knew that Xiao Zhao was right, so she nodded. Then I'll go sleep for a while. Xiao Zhao immediately followed. Yanran, I'll sleep with you for a while. Yanran glanced at him. Are you letting me have a good rest? Xiao Zhao shrunk his neck. I mean, I'll help you cover with a quilt. After Yanran left, Xiao Zhao sat on a chair and gradually closed his eyes. These few days, not to mention Yanran, he was also very tired, because he had to completely concentrate his energy, and there couldn't be any deviation. No wonder alchemists were very rare. Xiao Zhao also tried it with Yanran. It was simply not something a human could do. He remembered that his family had given him a lot of pills, and now that he thought about it, it was really a sin. But it couldn't be called a waste. They were all used on Yanran and himself, who asked them to both be injured. Just like that, in a daze, Xiao Zhao finally fell asleep with all sorts of thoughts in her mind. What the two of them didn't expect was that they had been away for a long time. They thought that only a week had passed, but they didn't expect that there was a time difference between the space and the outside world. There had been no news of the two of them for nearly a month. The first to find out was Yi Xuanfei. On the third day after Xiao Zhao left, she found that she couldn't contact Xiao Zhao. His phone was never in the service area, and there was no reply when she sent a message. Soon after, she found that Yanran was also missing. Yi Xuanfei's smart brain immediately found something strange. As long as it was related to Xiao Zhao, her nerves would immediately be 10,000 times more alert. She immediately guessed the truth. Xiao Zhao and Yanran didn't know what they were doing. She secretly sneaked into Yanran's house, but found that she wasn't there. She went to Xiao Zhao's company, but the people in the company told her that Xiao Zhao had gone on a long trip. She felt like she was Sherlock Holmes looking for a missing person. She had already defined herself as the main wife, and her future husband ran away with a mistress. It was simply unbearable. She used all the connections of the Eastern aristocratic family, and finally found out that Xiao Zhao and Yanran had taken a plane to Huanghai City many days ago, and stayed in a hotel suite. Yi Xuanfei gritted her teeth. Why were the two of them staying in the same room? It seemed like Xiao Zhao was lying to her. What were the two of them doing in Huanghai City? Yi Xuanfei recalled that when she was eating with Xiao Zhao kept asking her about the situation in the Eastern aristocratic family, and the layout of the array in the ancestral home. Now that she thought about it, why was it all so coincidental? Something was wrong. She couldn't guess what the two of them were up to, but she bought a plane ticket back to Huanghai. She wanted to go back and wait for them. Xiao Zhao dared to betray her, so she would definitely teach Yanran a lesson. Little Six looked at the news report in shock. It was different from what Yanran had expected. It turned out that the two key figures, Deputy Director Ma and Deputy Director Chen, had died at the same time. Yanran's plan was to use the two of them to submit the evidence to a higher level. This way, the truth of the crime would be presented to a higher level like a complete picture. Now that the two key figures had died, Little Six sensed that it must have been done by the Eastern aristocratic family. He didn't know what went wrong, and why the two of them were exposed. He wanted to discuss it with Yanran, but he couldn't get in touch with Yanran. Many days ago, Yanran had written him an email, telling him that she might be going out for a period of time. The follow-up arrangements were written very clearly. However, his plan didn't include what to do after the two of them died. Little Six didn't dare to act rashly. He didn't know if Yanran had been exposed. He was so anxious that he simply cut off all contact. It had to be said that the smart little six had saved himself. The Eastern aristocratic family, Old Yi, and the others weren't to be trifled with. With the help of the higher-ups, they started to investigate layer by layer. After the investigation, they found that the clues were scattered. They were all submitted by unrelated local informants. Could it be that things were really so coincidental? One by one, the seemingly scattered branches and leaves finally gathered into a big tree? The Eastern aristocratic family fell into a confusing conjecture. Little Six told everyone to go into hibernation and cut off all contact temporarily. He directly went out for a vacation. After Yinran and Xiao Xiao woke up, the two of them started to refine the immortal execution grass. There was only one immortal execution grass, so there couldn't be any mistakes. Yinran chased all the small animals out of the medicine room. She explained to them that they were refining a very important pill, and that they would play with them after a period of time. The small animals wandered around the door reluctantly. Even after the door was closed, they still wandered around the room. Yinran took a deep breath. Xiao Xiao, are you ready? Okay, Yinran, let's start. You can only succeed, you can't fail. Yinran directly lit up the big furnace. The enclosed space was instantly filled with hot steam. The flames were colorful, and there were 9 different colors from the bottom to the top, surrounding the entire furnace. This should be the furnace that the 9 heavens fairies brought down from the realm of the gods. It looks like a divine weapon. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming praised in the bracelet. It was more than 10,000 times better than the small furnace that Yi Xuanfei brought over. Yi Xuanfei's small furnace could only refine ordinary herbs. The real peerless medicine could only be refined with a big furnace like this. Xiao Xiao, pay attention to the control of the fire. According to the book, the temperature of each layer of flame must be maintained at a constant temperature. Yinran was completely focused. According to the book, she added powder and herbs bit by bit. The magical thing about this furnace was that the herbs would start to be refined from the top layer. Once the required herbs were refined, they would automatically fall to the next layer. Then, after the refinement of the next layer was successful, they would enter the next layer. This cycle would repeat until the essence of the pill was finally condensed. Xiao Xiao used her magic to control the temperature of each layer. Gradually, his palms began to sweat, and so did his forehead. The room was so hot that it made him feel uncomfortable. He took the opportunity to take off his clothes, leaving only his underwear on. Yinran stared at him blankly for a moment. Then, she glanced at him again, and then turned back to continue looking at the herbs in her hands. Yinran, are you hot? Do you want to take off your clothes? No. But after a while, Yinran and Xiao Xiao were the same. Their clothes were all wet and stuck to their bodies. Yinran stopped and took off her trousers. Inside, she was also wearing a pair of boxers so she wouldn't be exposed. But her 2 slender and straight legs with distinct joints, slender calves and exquisite ankles stimulated and teased Xiao Xiao's nerves in this enclosed space. Yinran didn't notice at first, but then she realized that Xiao Xiao's eyes were constantly glancing at her legs. Yinran coughed and her face flushed. Pay attention to the control of the fire. Xiao Xiao simply closed his eyes. This Yinran would challenge his self-control. The medicinal herbs in the furnace fell layer by layer and gathered in the deepest part of the furnace on the 9th layer. The antidote for the spirit transformation pill was refined with a total of 81 kinds of medicinal herbs. Each kind of medicinal herb looked like a big pile. But in the end, only a few grams of the essence could be used. All the refining in the beginning was just practice. When it came to the final refining, they could only guarantee that there wouldn't be any mistakes. But the workload was still there. This greatly challenged the willpower of the alchemist. In this world, it seemed easy to do something, but it was really difficult to do it well. This was just like cultivation. If you didn't peel off a few layers of skin, you wouldn't be able to succeed. Xiao Xiao felt that the skin on his body was superfluous. It was hot, like the sun in the desert without the cover of the atmosphere. It was burning and stimulating. He and Yinran kept drinking water, but even so, they couldn't keep up with the evaporation of the water. Yinran, can you help me pour the water off my head? I'm so hot. Xiao Xiao had to keep leaning against the furnace. Unlike Yinran, who could avoid the heat after putting in the medicinal herbs, Yinran brought a basin of cold water over and directly poured it over Xiao Xiao's head. After a long drought, he shook his head like a puppy, splashing water everywhere. Then, he fiercely poured a large cup of cold water. Yinran just looked at him like this. The water droplets slid down from the top of his head, along his cheeks, collarbones, and chest muscles. Xiao Xiao was still like a puppy, sticking out his tongue and gasping for air. Yinran suddenly blushed and secretly said in her heart, "Evildoer." She quickly turned around. Xiao Xiao suddenly reacted. He asked Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in his mind, "Did Yinran blush just now?" "It seems so. She's craving your body." Xiao Xiao listened with an enigmatic smile. His eyes followed Yinran around. After a while, he said to Yinran with a bitter face, "Yinran, I think I drank too much water just now. I want to pee." Chapter 247. Yinran was stunned. She hadn't considered this problem before. She took a basin and placed it in front of Xiao Xiao. "Take care of it yourself. I'll go out first." With that, she turned and left. "Wait, Yinran. I can't move my hands. Help me." Xiao Xiao's eyes kept rolling, looking guilty and expectant. Yinran was stunned. "How can I help you?" Xiao Xiao signaled with his eyes. Yinran also glanced down. The two of them looked at each other a few times. Xiao Xiao's eyes were about to cramp, and Yinran didn't quite understand. Xiao Xiao slowly ground his teeth in his heart. Yinran usually looked smart, but why was her EQ so low in this kind of thing? How could he say this? So Xiao Xiao could only close his eyes and say, "Yinran, you have two choices. One is to help me take off my pants, or..." Yinran finally understood. Then, she just stared at Xiao Xiao, her face burning. After a while, she found her voice again. "I'll help you take off your pants at most. You can figure out the rest yourself." With that, she turned her back to Xiao Xiao and pulled down Xiao Xiao's flat underwear. Then she realized that although it seemed simple, it was actually quite difficult. Yinran pulled for a long time, but couldn't get it off. Then, she heard Xiao Xiao say in pain, "Yinran, don't force it. It's going to break." Yinran was so scared that she quickly stopped and ran away. "Figure it out yourself." Thus, Xiao Xiao struggled for a long time, twisting her body here and there. Finally, she solved the problem. After this small episode, Yinran no longer paid attention to Xiao Xiao's various tricks. Like an old monk in meditation, she concentrated on placing the medicinal herbs. The big furnace was like a sieve with 9 layers of pagoda, leaking the herbs from the top layer all the way to the deepest layer of the furnace. After such a long time, some herbs had already leaked to the 9th floor and were preserved at a constant temperature. Yinran looked at the amount of medicine produced by each layer, took a deep breath, and said to Xiao Xiao, and then to herself, "You can put in the immortal extermination grass now." She took the immortal extermination grass that was placed at the side and bowed in reverence. Then, she gently placed it in the furnace that was enveloped by the first layer of red flames. "Xiao Xiao, raise it by 2 degrees. Xiao Xiao quickly increased his magic power, and the flames quickly wrapped around the first layer of the furnace, raising the temperature by 2 degrees. Yinran looked at Xiao Xiao with admiration, and Xiao Xiao was pleased with himself. Both of them looked at the changes of the immortal extermination grass nervously, not daring to blink. After being roasted by the flames for a while, the dewdrops originally on the immortal extermination grass disappeared, but the meandering grass that wrapped around its leaves clung onto it tightly, refusing to be separated from it no matter what. Finally, as the temperature rose, the immortal extermination grass and the grass on its body started to peel off, revealing tender grass flesh. Some of it was thick, while some of it was white. The grass that wrapped around its body seemed to have embedded itself into the immortal extermination grass's body. Xiao Xiao and Yinran magically discovered that the meandering grass was constantly growing, as if its body was dissected into countless thin threads, and the threads wrapped around the immortal extermination grass's body. The immortal extermination grass also seemed to be responding, as it stretched out its entire body, allowing the grass to wantonly take what it wanted. The two slowly merged into one, and could no longer be separated. After the two types of grass completed their fusion, it was as if the dust had settled. The liquid contained within the grass slowly seeped out, like the tears of a pair of lovers crying out of joy, and also like the blood of the entire body being sacrificed. Drops of liquid continuously seeped out, and the surroundings of the two stalks of grass sizzled. At the final moment, countless drops of liquid suddenly gushed out, surrounding the entire grass. The two stalks of grass finally completed their mission in this final sacrifice, and their bodies slowly turned into pale white powder. The essence of the immortal extermination grass was finally successfully extracted. Yinran was completely focused on the raging flames in the furnace, and her pale white face was covered in sweat. Refining medicine for a long time had already consumed more than half of her mental strength. If she was just an ordinary person, she would have already collapsed. Fortunately, Yinran had been cultivating the hibiscus art, and her mental strength was already much stronger than an ordinary person's. That was why she was able to hold on until now. It's a success, Yinran. Xiao Xiao shouted happily. Yinran also smiled faintly. The immortal extermination grass has been successfully refined, but it still needs to be fused with other medicines. We can't be careless. The white powder refined from the immortal extermination grass flowed down the furnace layer by layer. Yinran discovered that this grass could also be divided into different grades. Some of the nameless grass that she had refined before would always be slightly intercepted on the 1st to 8th layer of the furnace. When it finally fell to the 9th layer, it would already be exploited layer by layer, and only 1/8 of it would be able to enter. According to Qiao Zhao's words, this furnace was a tyrannical bandit. If one wanted to pass through, they would have to leave behind a toll. However, the immortal extermination grass was completely different. The tyrannical furnaces on the first 8 layers didn't dare to intercept a single strand of it. Instead, they had to open the door wide for such a noble grass, respectfully giving it away with both hands and acting humble. Xiao Xiao stared at the immortal extermination grass as it fell from the 1st layer to the 9th layer. It was as if a deity had descended from the heavens, descending into the mortal world. The medicinal herbs that had already been refined were like soldiers welcoming their general, and they all made way to welcome the arrival of the boss. When all the powder of the immortal extermination grass had fallen to the ground, these small grasses automatically formed a circle, clustered around it in the center, and waited for the general's command. Xiao Xiao, increase the firepower, burn with all your might. Yinran watched all of this anxiously. When the last drop of the immortal extermination grass powder fell to the 9th layer, she quickly gave the order. Xiao Xiao quickly released all of his demonic qi, causing the flames in the entire furnace to crackle. The heat filled the air. Xiao Xiao and Yinran's faces were already flushed red from the heat, and even their eyelids were starting to dry. The two of them didn't dare to close their eyes, and forced their eyes open to watch the changes in the medicinal herbs. Yinran handed Xiao Xiao 2 small sticks. Hold your eyelids open. At the last moment, they couldn't drop the ball at all. Xiao Xiao's eyelids were already poked with 2 marks, but he couldn't care less. The only thing in his mind was that he had to succeed. Yinran was even more so. Her hair had already started to drip water, obstructing her vision. She couldn't find a cloth to wipe her sweat with, so she simply took off her shirt and tied it over her head. Xiao Xiao only dared to take a glance, and quickly turned his head away. He chanted the clear heart incantation in his heart, throwing away all his thoughts, and striving for the final victory. At the last crucial moment, Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming also widened their eyes, nervously watching the changes in the medicinal pill. They saw that the white powder in the furnace on the 9th layer was wrapped up by an invisible hand, and rotated around in the furnace, gradually grinding the irregular edges into a smooth circle. Kong Xiaoming said excitedly, "It should be done soon." At this moment, Yinran suddenly took out a small knife, and fiercely slashed her palm. Xiao Xiao was so frightened that he shouted, "Yinran, what are you doing? Don't speak." Yinran sternly stopped Xiao Xiao, and placed her bloody hand above the medicinal pill. A strange thing happened. Yinran's blood was red, but it instantly turned white and was absorbed by the medicinal pill without a trace. Yinran just let her blood flow. Xiao Xiao was very distressed when he saw this. Yinran, can you use my blood? Yinran gritted her teeth and said, No, it can only be my blood. Otherwise, it won't be able to clear my blocked meridians. Xiao Xiao was so anxious that there was nothing he could do. He had to use all the devil qi in his body to maintain the temperature of the fire. He was a little worried about Yinran's blood and whether Yinran's hand would be burned. Yinran was motionless at this time. She closed her eyes and endured the pain of her hand being burned. At the same time, she felt waves of dizziness. She had lost a lot of blood, and the medicinal pill was like a vampire that could never be fed. After a long time, the medicinal pill seemed to tilt to the side, burped, and a drop of blood dripped into the furnace. Okay, Yinran, it's done. Xiao Xiao immediately shouted. Yinran withdrew her hand and sat down on the chair next to her. She said to Xiao Xiao weakly, Watch. If a strong fragrance wafts out, you can stop. After saying this, she fainted. Xiao Xiao was very anxious, but he couldn't move at the moment. He looked at Yinran's palm, which was still bleeding. He anxiously asked in his mind, Kong Xiaoming, Yinran fainted and is still bleeding. What should we do now? There's no way now. Hurry up and refine the medicinal pill in your hand and feed it to her. She will recover. Xiao Xiao looked at Yinran worriedly. He gritted his teeth and stamped his feet. He increased the heat with all his strength. The medicinal pill in the deepest layer of the furnace slowly spun, faster and faster. Xiao Xiao's heat seemed to have added a motor to it. Its rotation speed could not be seen clearly with the naked eye. In Xiao Xiao's eyes, the medicinal pill was originally the size of a fist, like a small snowball. However, as it kept spinning, some of the surrounding magazines and corners were thrown out. In the end, the core part became tighter and tighter, and became a small ball the size of a fingernail. Xiao Xiao didn't know if it was right. He couldn't wake Yinran up now, so he could only ask Kong Xiaoming. This medicinal pill is getting smaller and smaller. Will it be gone in the end? Kong Xiaoming said, The medicinal pill should be this big. You're doing the right thing. No matter how big the medicinal pill is, it can't be swallowed. Hurry up and work harder. Xiao Xiao had no choice but to resign himself to fate. He raised his neck and shouted, gathering all the energy in his body, and made a final impact on the furnace. An overwhelming force rushed to the top of the furnace. The heat was at its peak, and the temperature in the room was at least 80 degrees. Xiao Xiao's hair was about to explode, and the surrounding herbs were blown away by his power. At this time, only the furnace was left in the center of the room, burning fiercely. Xiao Xiao's eyes were red. With his last roar, a strong medicinal fragrance drifted out. Chapter 248. Yi Xuanfei felt as if there were thousands of ants crawling around her heart. The moment she returned to Huanghai City, she sent out all the cultivators at home to search for Xiao Xiao and Yinran's whereabouts. But after searching for more than 10 days, her subordinates came to report that there was no trace of the two of them. They only found that the hotel rooms that Xiao Xiao and Yinran had booked had not been returned. Yi Xuanfei was helpless. It was as if the two of them had disappeared into thin air. Her subordinates comforted her. Huanghai City had a population of more than 10 million. So how could they be found so easily? Hence, Yi Xuanfei specially sent someone to wait at the hotel. As long as there was any trace of them, he would immediately report to her. She repeatedly recalled the meal that she had with Xiao Xiao before he left. She had a feeling that Xiao Xiao and Yinran were up to something, and it was right under her nose. She searched the house again, but there was nothing unusual. Other than her grandfather not being at home during this period of time, the servants at home replied that no one had come. Miss, your school called several times to ask why you didn't go to school. A servant reported respectfully. Why did they only call me? Didn't Xiao Xiao and Yinran not go as well? Yi Xuanfei was already in a bad mood, so she directly threw a tantrum at the servant. They might have also called to ask. They said that if you don't go back to school, your absenteeism will affect your degree. Yi Xuanfei was speechless. She could do whatever she wanted at Northern University. So why was there so much trouble at Nanchuan University? They even threatened her with her degree. Forget it, forget it. She was an exchange student, so she shouldn't cause too much trouble. Xiao Xiao and Yinran were nowhere to be found, so there was no point for her to stay here. She should go back to school first. Just like that, Yi Xuanfei missed the scene she didn't want to see the most in her life. And that was the moment when Yinran recovered her spiritual power. A rich medicinal fragrance floated around Xiao Xiao's body and filled his nostrils. It was like the locust flowers in May, but more like the osmanthus flowers in August. It was mellow, rich, and fragrant. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but take a deep breath to refresh his mind. His exhausted body was injected with the refreshing agent, and he immediately felt refreshed. Xiao Xiao, don't just focus on breathing. Quickly stop. Don't overdo it. Kong Ming reminded him through the bracelet. Xiao Xiao hurriedly pulled back his sense of smell and withdrew the mana in his hand. The furnace immediately returned to normal, standing alone in the center of the room, as if nothing had happened. Xiao Xiao opened the lid and reached into the 9th layer. He carefully took out the pill that emitted a rich fragrance and a faint luster. Looking at the medicinal pill that was only the size of his fingernail, he clicked his tongue in wonder. This was the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill that had caused his Yinran to suffer countless hardships. Today he had finally refined it. Kong Ming, what should we do now? Feed it to Yinran directly? Xiao Xiao looked at the unconscious Yinran. At this time, her head was covered with clothes. Her appearance was neither fish nor fowl, but the bikini underwear showed off Yinran's perfect figure. Now that she was lying on the chair, looking like she was at his mercy, Xiao Xiao was about to have a nosebleed. Xiao Xiao knew that he couldn't take advantage of her. He quickly closed his eyes and asked Kong Xiaoming in his mind, "What should we do now? Let's wake Yinran up first. The way to take each medicinal pill is not the same. If you make a mistake, won't all our previous efforts be wasted?" Xiao Xiao walked forward, closed his eyes, and held up Yinran's head. He took off the clothes on her head and covered Yinran's body. He tried to control his mind and not look at Yinran's body below her neck. Then, he forcefully pinched Yinran's philtrum. After a while, Yinran's eyelashes trembled and she slowly woke up. When she saw Xiao Xiao, the first thing she asked was, "Is the medicinal pill done?" "It's done." Yinran, look. Xiao Xiao held up the medicinal pill in his hand and let Yinran smell its fragrance. Yinran gave Xiao Xiao a big thumbs up. "It's finally done. Xiao Xiao, help me sit cross-legged." Yinran's body and mind moved, and the clothes on her body slipped down. This time, Yinran realized that she was only wearing underwear in front of Xiao Xiao. She blushed and put on her clothes again and sat cross-legged. Xiao Xiao poured a cup of water for her and watched as Yinran took the medicinal pill. Then she entered a state of regulating her breathing. Xiao Xiao knew that Yinran wanted to circulate the meridians in her body. He quietly retreated and closed the door, leaving the entire space to Yinran. Xiao Xiao didn't dare to go far. He put on his clothes at the door and sat cross-legged to cultivate with Yinran. The antidote of the spiritual transformation pill flowed down Yinran's throat, and there was a slight spicy and tingling sensation. Through the absorption of the body, the medicinal effects slowly seeped into the blood and began to wander throughout the body. Yinran gradually felt that the antidote of the spiritual transformation pill was like a strong corrosive potion. It was incomparably overbearing. It wandered around the body unscrupulously, vowing to penetrate through every meridian. How could Yinran's delicate body withstand such a strong acidic substance wreaking havoc in her body? Every step of the antidote was like suffering torture. It was like a piece of iron scraping inside the body. Yinran's body couldn't help but tremble. However, this antidote didn't have any consciousness at all. It only knew that the same blood flowed in their bodies. Now the blood in the medicinal pill finally found its home. It sang happily in the blood and surged toward the blockages in each meridian with surging power. If the first time didn't work, the second time didn't work, and the third time didn't work. It was like a ruthless drill, crazily rotating in Yinran's body. It was a kind of heart-wrenching pain. Yinran was tortured to the point that she could only let out a single cry. After that, the pain was so painful that she couldn't make another sound. Her originally cross-legged body instantly went limp. Following the drill's movement throughout her body, Yinren rolled around on the floor of the secret room, trying to use the pain outside her body to alleviate the torture inside her body. Xiao Xiao heard Yinren's painful roar from outside. He wanted to rush into the room to see what was going on, but Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming pulled him back. Xiao Xiao, you can't go in now. Yinren must endure it by herself. She is now opening up her meridians. It must be very painful. If you go in, you will only increase her burden and make her unable to concentrate. You can't fail at the last step. Xiao Xiao's footsteps were stopped. Why? Why? Yinren is such a weak girl. Why must she bear such a big responsibility and pain? Xiao Xiao hated himself. There was nothing he could do to alleviate Yinren's pain. He frantically pulled his own hair. He couldn't sit down to cultivate anymore. He began to walk around the room. The drill in Yinren's body didn't show any mercy to the fairer sex. It crazily operated just like that. After successfully drilling a hole in her meridians, a strong acid rushed in, mercilessly corroding the impurities on the original blockage. Then it continued to move on to the next blockage. At this time, Yinren finally felt a little unobstructed. She knew that extreme pain would bring about extreme smoothness. The antidote was working. The blockage was unobstructed. It gave her a lot of confidence. She folded the clothes beside her and stuffed them into her mouth to prevent herself from accidentally biting off her tongue. However, Yinren's series of actions were always interrupted by the pain. The surrounding tables, chairs, and even the furnace placed in the center were inadvertently knocked over. Xiao Xiao listened to the banging sounds in the room. He was so worried that his heart was about to explode. After walking around the room a dozen times, he heard a loud noise from the furnace. He couldn't bear it anymore. Ignoring Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming's dissuasion, he rushed in. He saw Yinren's twisted body curled up on the ground. From time to time, she would roll left and right. The clothes on her body were bitten in her mouth. Her delicate skin had many scratches and blood marks. Xiao Xiao shouted, "Yinren!" She rushed forward and held her in her arms. However, Yinren was very strong in her arms. Every time she felt pain in her body, she would twitch and tighten her body. She didn't know where to hit with her hands and feet. Xiao Xiao was kicked several times by Yinren. He grimaced and used all his strength to hold Yinren in his arms. He muttered, "Yinren, you can hit me however you want. Just don't hit my face." Because Yinren was struggling, her head kept shaking. The clothes in her mouth had fallen out. Xiao Xiao saw Yinren biting her lower lip like she was being abused. He quickly pried open Yinren's mouth and put his forearm directly in. Severe pain spread from Xiao Xiao's arm to his head, making him tremble. However, he endured it. He knew that if Yinren bit him like this, he might feel better. At this time, Yinren's consciousness was blurred. She only knew that someone was holding her. It should be Xiao Xiao. However, she couldn't control herself. She was about to go crazy from the torture of the drill and the strong acid in her body. Every time it made her feel extreme pain, and every time it was unblocked, it made him feel extreme pleasure. It should be said that it was pain and pleasure. However, this pleasure was too short. The pain was far more than 100 times longer. Gradually, Yinren's legs stopped kicking, because the meridians in her legs had been pierced. All the pain was concentrated in her legs. Yinren curled up her two slender and straight beautiful legs in Xiao Xiao's arms, protecting herself like a baby. The pain in her abdomen was the most obvious. Yinren knew that it was her dantian. Her dantian sea of qi was empty. At this time, the meridians in her legs had been opened and were attacking her abdomen. The original spiritual power wanted to refill the whole dantian. However, the whole dantian seemed to be surrounded by a golden bell shield. The antidote encountered the greatest difficulty here. The original drill and strong acid could only corrode a small area. But this was a huge project for them. This also aroused the antidote's fighting spirit. He mobilized more power in his blood and attacked the golden bell shield. The vibration of weapons colliding sounded in Yinren's abdomen. Xiao Xiao could feel that Yinren's body was knocked out of control. The teeth that were originally biting his forearm also loosened at this time. Chapter 249. Yinran's head suddenly kept leaning back. Her body tensed up desperately, and then suddenly curled up. This caused the pain in her abdomen to soar. Xiao Xiao felt that she could no longer hold on to her. Her two long legs, which were originally obedient, were unconsciously kicking hard. She accidentally kicked the ground or the obstacles on the side, and a bump would cause bruises. Xiao Xiao used all her strength to secure her legs and her arms. If you want to kick, then kick me. Don't kick your feet until they hurt. Yinran heard Xiao Xiao's voice in a daze. She opened her eyes weakly. Yinran, who had never been willing to admit defeat, said in an extremely weak voice for the first time, "Ah, Xiao, it hurts." Ah. Xiao Xiao's heart was pressed down by a huge stone, making him unable to breathe. He shouted anxiously, "Yinran, how can I help you?" Yinran's pale face twitched the corner of her mouth. "In the past, I was alone. Now that I have you with me, I am satisfied." Xiao Xiao's eyes burst into tears. He hugged Yinran even tighter. Yes, I will be with you in the future. I won't let you suffer anymore." Xiao Xiao had never hated his powerlessness as much as he did at this moment. He protected Yinran's abdomen with his hand. A wave of devil chi surged out and comforted her smooth lower abdomen. Another wave of pain came. Yinran grabbed Xiao Xiao's hand and pressed it down desperately. Her body curled up again. Xiao Xiao was a little worried that Yinran would press through her slippery and sweaty skin. Kong Ming shouted in the bracelet, "Xiao Xiao, your devil chi seems to be useful. Give me more." Xiao Xiao was overjoyed. He increased the strength of the devil chi and penetrated Yinran's smooth skin all the way to the inside. The hard cover in Yinran's body showed signs of loosening under the attack of the antidote and strong acid. With the help of Xiao Xiao's profound devil chi, the force of the two gradually strengthened and finally twisted into a rope. Xiao Xiao felt Yinran's body getting tighter and tighter. He increased the strength of his hand to the extreme. Yinran's body suddenly jumped. Her eyes rolled up, and all the muscles in her body tightened to the limit. Then, Yinran felt the original majestic power in her dantian pouring in from all directions. A wave of numbness rushed straight to the top of her head. Her body instantly went limp, and she weakly curled up in Xiao Xiao's arms. Yinran completely fainted. Xiao Xiao shouted anxiously, but Yinran didn't respond at all. Xiao Xiao hurriedly cupped Yinran's face and hurriedly pushed away her sweat-soaked hair. Her beautiful and pale face had her eyes tightly closed, and her bloodless little mouth was unconsciously open. There were bloodstains on the corners of her mouth. It was unknown whether it was from her bite or from Xiao Xiao's forearm. Xiao Xiao only felt that his nose seemed to have suddenly bulged out. Kong Xiaoming was stunned. When had Xiao Xiao's face ever had a blemish? He stammered. "Xiao Xiao, there's something on your nose." Xiao Xiao was so anxious that he didn't care about his nose. "Don't talk nonsense. Help me think of a way to wake Yinran up." "Yinran is fine. She'll be fine when she wakes up." Kong Xiaoming comforted Xiao Xiao. "Is she really fine?" Xiao Xiao asked in disbelief. "Look at Yinran's head." Kong Xiaoming pointed at Yinran's head for Xiao Xiao to see. Xiao Xiao raised his eyes from Yinran's face and looked at Yinran's head. He saw the little white bun, which he hadn't seen in a long time, faintly flickering out of existence. It was currently sleeping soundly. Xiao Xiao was ecstatic. He wanted to grab it and hug the cute little bun, but he grabbed nothing. Only then did he realize that he couldn't grab the little white bun. Xiao Xiao was so happy that he cried. He held Yinran's little face and kept kissing it. His tears and snot were all over Yinran's face. Let Yinran have a good rest. She just recovered her spiritual power. She needs to sleep, Kong Ming reminded. Xiao Xiao hurriedly picked up Yinran and put her on the bed of the ninth heaven fairy next door. He then fetched water and cleaned Yinran's body. He covered her with a quilt and touched the little white bun on Yinran's head. Then he sat by the bed and looked at Yinran with a silly smile. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming covered their eyes. Is the prince of the devil world stupid? His head is full of Yinran. There's nothing else in it. After calming down, Xiao Xiao finally had time to clean himself up. He was also in a mess. When he went to wash his face, he suddenly found that the reflection of his face in the basin seemed a little strange. He looked carefully and was shocked. Why was there a big bump on his nose? Oh no, what's on my nose? Kong Xiaoming, hurry up and come out. At this moment, Kong Xiaoming calmly brushed his clothes and said with a calm face, I told you just now, your nose is on fire. Then what should I do? When Yinran wakes up and sees my face, how will I explain it? Xiao Xiao suddenly became anxious. Didn't you say that Yinran never liked you because of your face? Kong Xiaoming continued to cross his legs and shook his head unconcernedly. What do I say? Yinran definitely won't dislike me, but I must charm her to death. Otherwise, if she's seduced by someone else one day, who will I cry to? Is your Yinran so uneasy? Who told her to be so outstanding? If I don't keep a close eye on her, what will I do if I lose this crown princess? Xiao Xiao, I finally know. So you feel so inferior in front of someone. Is this called feeling inferior? This is called worrying about gains and losses. In Yinran's heart, her country is always the most important. I am the concubine waiting for her. Xiao Xiao pursed his lips, feeling wronged. Alright, you're the only one in his harem now, okay? Then you have to find a way to become more outstanding. Won't you be worthy of him? I can also be worthy of him right now. What nonsense are you talking about? Hurry up and help me think of a way to get rid of this bump on my nose. Kong Xiaoming had no choice but to find some formulas from the ancient book to cool down the heat. Go find these herbs yourself, then refine a pill and apply it to your nose. It should be fine. Xiao Xiao quickly turned around and strode into the alchemy room. He found these herbs, took out a small alchemy cauldron, and began to refine the pill to treat his nose. Since the spiritual power in Yinran's dantian returned, she entered a deep dormant self-recovery process. The meridians in her body were once again merged and connected. Yinran's qi and blood were flowing smoothly, and her whole body began to circulate the big and small circulations. The after-effect of the antidote was that it was too overbearing. It destroyed the internal parts of her body. She still needed to use spiritual power to reconnect them, polish them, and restore them to their original best state. Her mind involuntarily recalled the first half of her life. From childhood to adulthood, from loss to gain, from the mission on her shoulders to the collapse of the building. Every event was fresh in her memory. From childhood to adulthood, she had suffered too much. Although she felt that it should be like this, the only thing that made her feel that she was living her true self was meeting Xiao Xiao. This real, passionate, and sincere crown prince of the devil world's attachment to her was always shown on his face. It was he who helped her through the difficulties. It was he who accompanied her to find the antidote of the spirit-transforming pill. It was he who became her strongest backing. It was he who saved her. A drop of grateful tear slid down the corner of Yinran's eye and covered the skin on her face with the quilt. The spiritual power in Yinran's body became smoother and smoother, surrounding her consciousness. Yinran no longer thought about it, but she did not wake up from her deep sleep. She added the willpower of the hibiscus chart to her spiritual power. Twice the result with half the effort. These years of cultivation made Yinran's spiritual power soar. At this time, it was superimposed on the spiritual power of higher void. It was like adding wings to a tiger. It was irresistible. The spiritual power in her body crazily rotated and surged. A powerful spiritual power rushed in from the outside and poured directly into the top of Yinran's head. Yinran's chest bounced from the impact of this rushing power. It was this little movement that made Xiao Xiao, who was rubbing pills on his nose, jump in fright. He did not care about his nose and rushed in directly. At this time, Yinran was lifted up from the bed by a force and slowly rose into the air. Only her underwear revealed her perfect figure. Yinran's beautiful hair fluttered in the wind. Her two hands were spread out horizontally. One of her legs was straight, while the other was slightly bent. Her eyes were tightly closed. Her goddess-like appearance made everything around her lose their color. At this moment, her entire body was emitting a circle of divine radiance. The movement here was too big. The small animals all rushed over here. When they saw the godlike beautiful face in the air, They could not help but lower their bodies and willingly submit to her. Wow! Yinran is going to advance again. Kong Xiaoming exclaimed enviously. At this time, Xiao Xiao was stunned by Yinran's state. That perfect body, sexy underwear, beautiful and noble face, made Xiao Xiao involuntarily swallow his saliva. He suddenly felt that such a beautiful scene should only be appreciated by him. He took off the bracelet and stuffed it into his trouser pocket, blocking the view of the two people. Xiao Xiao, what are you doing? We're watching it with great interest. Shut up, you two. You are men. You are not allowed to watch. Please, we have seen the intimate scene of the two of you many times. We are only using our spiritual sense, okay? Shut up, you two. If you continue, I will throw the two of you out forever. Just as the two of them were bickering, Yinran turned her hands over, as if she was holding something heavy. Then, she suddenly lifted them up. Xiao Xiao only felt a thick and heavy air suddenly burst out from Yinran's body. The air in the entire palace was compressed and distorted. Oh no, this palace is going to collapse. The small animals were frightened and quickly ran out. The whole palace was on the verge of collapse. Xiao Xiao quickly recited the guard's chant, and was about to rush in the direction of Yinran. However, the vigorous force caused by Yinran was too strong. Xiao Xiao rushed over several times, but was unable to. Instead, he was directly thrown out of the palace by this force. Then, Xiao Xiao found that the palace collapsed in front of his eyes, and Yinran was like a rocket soaring into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Xiao Xiao only had time to call out Yinran before he was thrown hundreds of meters away by the airflow. When he looked up again, he could no longer find his Yinran. Chapter 250. Xiao Xiao was stunned by this. When he came back to his senses, he suddenly found that something fell from the top of his head and hit the ground in front of him. He picked it up and saw that it was the huge diamond ring he gave to Yinran. Xiao Xiao was completely confused. Where did his Yinran go? How did she get launched by a rocket? Why didn't she take the diamond ring with her? Little animals, hurry up and follow me to find her. Xiao Xiao ordered, and the little animals led the way in front of him. After walking for a long time, Xiao Xiao was so anxious that he wanted to fly directly in the sky, but the little animals only knew how to run on the ground. In this way, he finally walked all over the space with great difficulty, but he still didn't see Yinran's figure. Xiao Xiao's heart was getting more and more panicked, as if something was out of his control. He didn't know where this feeling came from, but it was like a net, tightly entangling him inside. The little animals led him to search the entire space, but there was no trace of Yinran. The feeling of uneasiness was getting stronger and stronger. Xiao Xiao flew directly into the air and looked down from the sky. The lush forest covered everything so tightly that he couldn't see anything. Xiao Xiao searched for a whole 3 days. The sun rose and set. Time slipped away without hesitation. Xiao Xiao's heart was getting heavier and heavier. The big bump on his nose didn't disappear, but it became more and more serious. He didn't care about this, and just carried out a carpet search in the space. After traversing through another forest, he returned to the lavender shrubs. He sat down and recalled the scene of his proposal a few days ago. At that time, his heart was incomparably sweet, but now his heart was heavy. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. He lay back, lying between the flowers, and closed his eyes. Yinran, where are you? After Mr. Yi and Ming Tian were severely beaten by their superiors, they returned to Huanghai dejectedly. Our superiors helped us suppress this matter. It was really a close call. Elder Yi finally sat down in his ancestral home and leisurely brewed a cup of tea. Old Yi, although the crisis this time is over, there is still a problem with our cash flow. Ming Tian was most troubled by the fact that he couldn't go against his superiors. He still had to take the money that was supposed to be taken from him. We still have some assets in our hands. Let's think of a way to get rid of them and solve our liquidity problem. Then, we'll think of a way to acquire a financial company. This way, we can earn money quickly and have high profits. Old Mr. Yi sipped his tea, but we don't know anything about finance. Ming Tian was in a difficult position. We have been in the entertainment and technology industries for so many years. There are too many shady things in the financial industry, and the supervision is stricter. Last time, Yu Tian and Mr. Lu's case failed, mainly because their business was too big. However, their modus operandi is still worth learning from. Didn't many families fall for it at that time? Go and do some more research. Think of a way from this point. Bribe a few inspectors, and this matter will be settled. There are so many bad debts in the financial industry every year. And we won't have one more. Use a few more companies. We can't be too focused on the target. The more Ming Tian listened, the more he broke out in cold sweat. Old Yi, this is really going against the world. Originally, no matter what on the surface, we are still a legitimate company. Now we are going to directly commit fraud. Desperate times call for desperate measures. We have no choice but to do this. Ming Tian, you have to know that we are a special existence in the cultivation world. We have our own advantages. If we don't use these advantages in time, it would be a pity. I want you to live well for the rest of your life, and the next few lives. You have to be ruthless. Feed your subordinates more pills, and distribute the ones that confuse their minds. You have to make them listen to your orders. Ming Tian looked at old Ye's sharp and ruthless eyes, and nodded his head firmly. Xiao Xiao fell asleep in the lavender bush just like that. In a daze he actually had a dream. He dreamed that his Yinran's spiritual power had recovered, and the king had returned. The two of them eradicated the Eastern aristocratic families, and lived a happy life from then on. On this day, Xiao Xiao and Yinran were getting married. However, a group of small animals blocked his way, not letting him go forward to welcome the bride. He desperately struggled to break through, but the small animals inside and outside were blocking his way. He couldn't be rough on the big day. He could only peel off these cute animals, and try his best to move forward. However, one of them shook his clothes and tried to snatch him back. He was anxious. Just as he was about to stretch out his leg and kick it, he woke himself up from his stupor. There was no wedding in front of him. He was still lying in the lavender bush. The sky was already dark, and that clever little squirrel was tugging at his trousers. Xiao Xiao immediately woke up. Did you find Yinran? The little squirrel nodded. Quickly lead the way. Xiao Xiao ignored his tired expression, and quickly followed the little squirrel back to the collapsed palace. He saw a slender figure standing at the entrance of the palace. She was already dressed neatly, and was thoughtfully looking at the ruins. Looking from afar, the woman's back was straight, and her body emitted a faint golden light. Especially the little white bun on her head, its eyes were disdainful. The woman's body emitted the aura of a king, as if everything in the world had to submit to her. However, her face was cold and her eyes were cold. The woman coldly looked at the ruins in front of her, and expressionlessly waved her hand. The ruins were like obedient children automatically opening up a path. The woman walked forward, and took out a small furnace, and held it in her hand. Yinran. Xiao Xiao was overjoyed. I finally found you. Xiao Xiao rushed forward, wanting to hug Yinran from behind. But he didn't expect that when he was 3 meters away from Yinran, Xiao Xiao would be blocked by a layer of invisible air. Xiao Xiao opened his mouth to ask, but he saw Yinran turn around and coldly look at him. Xiao Xiao, why are you here? Xiao Xiao was momentarily stunned by Yinran's question. Yinran, why would you ask that? I've been looking for you. I've been looking for you in this space for 3 whole days. Yinran raised her beautiful eyebrows. Why aren't you at school? Why are you in this space? Xiao Xiao was suddenly stunned. He looked at Yinran in disbelief. Yinran, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Yinran looked at Xiao Xiao's excited and sincere expression. It didn't seem fake at all. There seemed to be a voice in her heart that wanted to get close to him. Yinran looked at Xiao Xiao in a trance for a moment. Xiao Xiao's figure in front of her split into 2, and then returned to its original form in an instant. But her head began to hurt violently. She clenched her right hand into a fist, and fiercely knocked on her temple. I seem to have forgotten something. F***ck. How could such a strange thing happen to Yinran? Xiao Xiao's entire heart tightened. It was obvious that he didn't have enough blood. He trembled and asked Yinran. Do you still remember our relationship? Yinran raised her beautiful eyebrows. We were classmates. I saved you several times. Why is the demonic aura on your head gone? Then do you still remember the Eastern aristocratic family? Ah, you also know the Eastern aristocratic family? Of course I remember. Then do you still remember who hurt you? Who fed you the spiritual transformation pill? You know quite a lot. I remember all of this. Yinran coldly replied. Then do you still remember the movie we watched together? Yinran thought carefully and shook her head. Then do you still remember the night we spent together? Yinran stared at Xiao Xiao and then shook her head. Xiao Xiao staggered. Then do you still remember that I officially went to your house to visit your parents' son-in-law? Yinran was stunned. How could she not remember anything? She asked Xiao Xiao with uncertainty. Really? Xiao Xiao covered his head. His heart was throbbing with pain. Of course, Yinran. How could you forget me? You heartless person. I remember everything else. The only thing that happened with you is that it stopped at the high school level. Yinran's words were like a sharp knife that directly pierced Xiao Xiao's heart. Yinran, how could you play me like this? How could you do this? Xiao Xiao's eyes immediately turned red. His heart felt like it was being twisted by a knife. He took out the diamond ring. Tears flowed down his face. He shouted at Yinran. Do you still remember this? It was in the carnations behind the mountain. I proposed to you. You kissed me and said you were willing to marry me. How could you forget everything after a few days? He wanted to rush up and hug Yinran. However, Yinran's fingers moved slightly and immediately fixed Xiao Xiao in place. Xiao Xiao used his hands and feet, but he couldn't get through the obstacles set by Yinran. Xiao Xiao was very sad. Yinran, how could you forget me? You can forget anyone, but you can't forget me? Xiao Xiao complained about Yinran in tears. He squatted on the ground like a child. Yinran's heart suddenly tightened. A sour feeling rushed to her eyes. Involuntarily, her tears fell, but she really couldn't remember anything. Suddenly, a sharp pain came from her head. Yinran also squatted on the ground. She held her head with both hands and shook it in pain. Xiao Yi realized that the shackles in front of him had suddenly disappeared, and Yinran was squatting on the ground in pain. He could no longer care about anything else. He rushed to Yinran's side and hugged her tightly. Yinran was not used to it. Her body was stiff. She wanted to push him away, but when she pushed Xiao Xiao, her head hurt badly again. Xiao Xiao couldn't care about his sadness anymore. He asked anxiously, Yinran, what's wrong with you? Does your head hurt? Yinran looked at Xiao Xiao's concerned eyes, and her headache seemed to be relieved. I'm sorry, Xiao Xiao. I really don't remember anything about you. When I want to remember, my head hurts badly. When Xiao Xiao heard this, he quickly said to her, Don't think about it, don't think about it. Yinran, this must be the side effect of the antidote. I believe that you will remember me one day. Xiao Xiao's heart was bitter. He swallowed a mouthful of blood, but when he looked at Yinran's appearance, he felt even more distressed. After a while, Yinran calmed down. Yinran, have you recovered your spiritual power? Xiao Xiao finally dared to ask her. I've recovered, and it seems that my realm has improved. That's great. Yinran, there's finally something to be happy about. Xiao Xiao's heart was bitter. However, Yinran's spiritual power had recovered, which was always a good thing. Xiao Xiao helped Yinran up from the ground and habitually hugged her. However, Yinran moved to the side and lightly said to him, Xiao Xiao, we are classmates. Before I remember the relationship between us, I hope that we can keep a distance. After she finished speaking, she walked out in large strides. Xiao Xiao felt like his heart was being stabbed by a needle. He lifelessly followed behind Yinran. Looking at the heart-wrenching woman in front of him, he couldn't hate her. Yinran's joy of recovering her spiritual power was completely destroyed. Chapter 251. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming shook their heads in the space. They didn't expect the aftereffects of the spiritual transformation pill to be so severe. Xiao Xiao, your hard days are coming. I don't know when Yinran will remember you again. Shut up, you two. Don't mention my sore spot. I'm sad right now. But Xiao Xiao, I think you don't have to worry too much. Yinran should still have a few meridians in her brain that haven't been pierced. The antidote may not take effect so quickly. It's already a miracle that she can recover her spiritual power, and even increase it. It's only a matter of time before she recovers her memories with you. Xiao Xiao was a little disheartened. I hope so. If Yinren really can't forget me, then I don't want to live anymore. Kong Xiaoming was shocked. Xiao Xiao, don't be silly. If Yinren recovers one day and remembers you, but you're no longer there, then how sad will Yinren be? Won't she follow you? Don't talk nonsense. My Yinren will live a long life. She'll remember one day. Maybe I could make her fall in love with me before. But now I'll chase her again, and make her fall in love with me again. Wow, Xiao Xiao, your battle declaration is too loud. I admire you, I admire you. I believe that as long as you make a move, there isn't a girl you can't handle. Take that Yi Xuanfei for example. She's so coquettish, and wants to take off her clothes and wait for you in bed every day. As long as you use your charm, I believe Yinren will be hooked again. When Xiao Xiao heard this, Kong Xiaoming finally said something reasonable. He liked hearing it. After a fierce struggle, Xiao Xiao finally held back the grief in his heart, and decided to pursue Yinren again. He didn't believe that he wouldn't be able to handle her the second time, since he was so familiar with her. After making up his mind, he went forward to catch up with Yinren and said to her, Yinren, I'll take you out of this space. You can only get out of this space with the totem. Yinren looked back at him, her eyes calm. Xiao Xiao held back the pain in his heart, and took out the totem. The totem gradually rotated in the air, and emitted golden ripples, sometimes wide and sometimes narrow. Xiao Xiao silently recited the incantation, then with a shout, break. The scenery in front of them changed, and they were back in the library again. Yinren's calm eyes looked around vigilantly. Fortunately, there was no one in the library. She said to Xiao Xiao, you go back first. I still have things to do. After saying that, she turned around, and was about to leave. Xiao Xiao stopped her. Yinren, we came together. We have to go back together. Yinren guessed that she must have forgotten something and nodded. Then follow me carefully, and don't make a sound. The alienation and indifference in her tone was quite obvious. Xiao Xiao's eyes trembled, and a drop of tear almost fell. The two left the library. It was night time. Yinren didn't say anything, and flew towards the elixir laboratory of the Eastern aristocratic family. Xiao Xiao didn't know what she was going to do. He just followed silently. There was a bit of wind at night. Some trees planted by the roadside were blown by the wind. A leaf spun in the air, and changed several directions and drifted down. It was just like Xiao Xiao's mood at this time. He was fluttering. He had no root and no basis. He was floating in the world like duckweed. Reporting to Yi Lao, our elixir warehouse has been completely destroyed. A servant rushed to the door of Yi Lao's dormitory in a hurry. The situation was urgent. He didn't care about etiquette, and started to bang on the door. Yi Lao was sleeping soundly at this time. After being woken up by the knocking on the door, he was dissatisfied. But after hearing the report, he couldn't sit still anymore. He grabbed a piece of clothes, and rushed to the elixir warehouse. The scene in front of him stunned Yi Lao Yi. The original windows of the elixir laboratory were all shattered, and the broken glass with edges and corners hung slanted on the edge of the window. There was even a crack on the exterior of the building that spread in all directions, bearing fangs and brandishing claws to show its power. Yi Lao rushed into the room. He saw that the room was in a mess. The original alchemy equipment was ruined, and fell to the ground. There was almost no corner. Yi Lao raised his hand and set off a force. He directly opened a path in the middle of the room. He quickly walked forward. The servant behind him trotted behind him. Yi Lao's heart was bleeding at this time. The finished elixirs, semi-finished elixirs, and herbs on the ground were ruthlessly thrown to the ground. He didn't know what kind of force had crushed them into powder. Yi Lao crossed the first floor, and quickly walked upstairs. The elevator next to the stairs had automatically closed. It was the same upstairs. It was even worse than the first floor. There were more elixir refining equipment on the third and fourth floor. At this time, they were all destroyed by some kind of force. Some hit the wall, some fell to the ground. It was like broken limbs and wreckage on a tragic battlefield. Yi Lao's eyes were red. He gritted his teeth and squeezed out a few words. Who did this? The servant trembled in fear. The camera is also broken. It didn't capture anything. No one dares to walk outside at night. We also heard the sound, so we came here to check. Yi Lao knew that this was the technique of a cultivator. But such a strong force, where did this master come from? If the laboratory was destroyed, the worst consequence would be that they would not be able to supply the other cultivators with elixirs. If they wanted to build another laboratory, it would take at least half a year. Old Man Yi remembered the task he had given Ming Tian. He had to give him some hallucinogenic drugs. Now where could he find these drugs? Nothing was going well. Old Man Yi looked at the dark sky. It was as if a large net had enveloped him. A trace of unknown fear struck his heart. Yi Lao flew into the sky, wanting to break through the big net. He looked around. Everything was hidden in the darkness. He landed on the ground. I have already put away the circulation array. Quickly send people to check other places in the house. If there are any abnormalities, quickly report to me. All the servants obeyed the order and quickly got to work. Until dawn, Old Master Yi didn't sleep for the entire night. He also checked every corner of the house and didn't find anything strange. According to the records, Yi Xuanfei only went to the library once. Why did Miss go to the library? I'm not sure. But a while ago, Miss came back and stayed for a few days. It seemed like she was looking for someone. Who was she looking for? Looking for the person who came to the house last time. Xiao Xiao. Yi Lao suddenly shivered. Yes, there was this person. This person was a master. He was someone Yi Xuanfei wanted to rope in. There were too many things happening recently. How was it going? Yi Lao had doubts in his heart. Did she find him? No, it was about a month ago. After that, Miss went back to school. The timing didn't match. Even if Xiao Xiao went to Huanghai a month ago, how could it be the same as what happened last night? Everything was confusing. Countless clues circled in Yi Lao's mind, but they couldn't connect into a line. Of course, all of this was done by Yin Ran. She was like a murderous warrior. She directly bombed the pill laboratory. Looking at the mess on the floor, her expression didn't change. It was as if it was a matter of course. That was the confidence of a master, and the casualness of destroying everything. Let's go. A cold voice sounded. Yin Ran and Xiao Xiao left the Eastern aristocratic family and went back to the hotel. When she saw Xiao Xiao following her into the room, she stopped in her tracks. Why did you follow me in? Xiao Xiao was very resentful. The two of us originally lived in the same room. Yin Ran only remembered that she lived here, and the image of Xiao Xiao in the room seemed to have been automatically cut off. She frowned. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. Go and open another room. Xiao Xiao looked at the tightly shut door in front of her and clenched her teeth in anger. Yin Ran went back to the room and turned on her computer. Now that her Reiki had recovered, she could fully start her revenge plan. She wanted to organize what happened during this period of time. She looked at the date just now and was surprised that she had stayed in the space for more than a month. What made her feel strange was that little Six and the others didn't seem to have any news. Did something happen? She quickly browsed the recent news. She found that since her Reiki recovered, her brain worked faster. She didn't need a pen and paper to connect a lot of things in her mind. She found that the two chess pieces she had placed before were dead. Yin Ran was not as surprised as Little Six. She didn't tell Little Six that if these two chess pieces were dead, what should she do next? No wonder Little Six didn't have any news. He was probably trapped in a dead end. Yin Ran immediately formed another plan in her mind. She dialed Little Six's phone and said in a crisp voice, I'll go back to Nanchuan tomorrow and have a meeting to discuss the next step of the plan. Little Six received Yin Ran's call, and the corner of his mouth rose. Yin Ran, you finally have news. I was so worried. I thought you and Xiao Xiao went on a honeymoon directly. Yin Ran paused and asked tentatively, why did I go on a honeymoon with him? Brother Qiao secretly told me before that he would find a chance to propose to you. I want to know if it was successful. Yin Ran heard Little Six's tone and knew that he must be winking at her at this time. Yin Ran asked a little uncertainly, you mean we're boyfriend and girlfriend? Little Six realized that something was wrong with Yin Ran. Of course you're boyfriend and girlfriend. Both your families have agreed. What's wrong, Yin Ran? Did something happen? Nothing. My spiritual power has recovered, but I seem to have forgotten about Xiao Xiao. Damn, it can't be. Brother Qiao will cry to death. Yinran, you can't be ungrateful. Brother Qiao is someone who has done you a great favor. Moreover, you two were very close before. Why did it suddenly become like this? Yinran didn't say anything more, and just hung up the phone. Then she sent a WeChat message to Xiao Xiao. How are we now? Xiao Xiao replied instantly. We promised each other for life. We've done almost everything we should do. Yinran. Nonsense, I know my own body. I definitely didn't do anything that I shouldn't do. Xiao Xiao was speechless. If he had known, he would have done Yinran sooner. He didn't reply and sulked in the next room gloomily. After dealing with everything, Yinran began to carefully examine her body. After circulating all the meridians in her body, she found that there was only one place that was still stuffed. Yinran guessed that it had something to do with Xiao Xiao, and at the same time, it also reduced her emotional fluctuations by a lot. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.